All right, so what happened on Coronation Street this week? Let's find out. I thought it was an all right week this week.
Me too.
I was expecting, I don't know. For looking at, as always, I didn't look at previews, but I saw one or two pictures kind of sneak past me on Twitter, and I thought, oh, it looks like they're going on a more light-hearted week this week. And sometimes that's okay, and sometimes it's a bit like, no, you're trying too hard to be funny. But actually, I did quite appreciated it this week. We had some good stories, some good moments. Yeah, good stuff. So let's get cracking talking about it. I don't know. We're supposed to be. We're waiting for a delivery. Are we going to have where are we getting a delivery from? Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Ocado. Getting fancy. What is it?
What do you mean?
We're getting a delivery
Grocery
coming.
delivery.
Yeah.
Yes. When have we ever had Sainsbury's or Tesco?
I don't know where we get it from.
I know you don't.
Anyway, we're having
why are you
we're going to be
specify if you don't even know?
We're going to be having a grocery delivery at some point during this recording, so look out for the doorbell. Listen out, whatever. What are we talking about this week? Rutting ties is our first storyline, which is turning into a bit of a midlife crisis as well, isn't it? We've got some Rovers changeovers at number 2. Please not running. Number 3, new storyline title alert. Oh, which one should we go for? The first one or the second one? I've got 2 options here. Gemma?
You decide.
Winter into Debinger is our third storyline of the week. So we've got Bernie and Dev. Who'd have thought they'd have worked out as a partnership? We've got Aretha Franklin, which desperately needs a storyline title change because it's not really to do with that at all anymore. I can't think of one, so that's sticking. We have got Stand and Relivered because Peter has got his new liver now, hasn't he? All better, all over. Good for him. Bit of telesales and marketing, and also a little bit of quad stuff, which doesn't have a title at all. Although I think, actually, we'll come to mention it. Didn't we call it Aledal Hard of Hearing last year? Because it was Aled. Yeah, let's call it that again. Gemma, I've monopolised this podcast so far, so I am going to let you take our number 1 storyline of the week. What happened with Rutting Ties?
Am I allowed to say something
Yes,
now?
I got my tea. Look, I'm going to be sipping and slurping away while you're telling everybody what happened.
Can we
just in
get
case they've
through
forgotten.
the next 2 hours without slagging everything off?
We'll do it. I'm not going to be doing any slagging off this week.
Impossible.
It's fine.
And if
It's
you
all
don't
fine
like
this
it,
week.
I think you can turn it off. Right, so, as you said, first storyline, Tyrone, isn't he a dog?
Yes.
I'm on team revenge here. I know that Fizz is trying to take the high road and everything. I'm on team use the children. Team manipulate the situation using the children. What's wrong with that? It's a good old-fashioned soap thing to do, isn't it?
I am glad
it's a
that
good
at the end of the
old-fashioned
week,
real life
Fizz
thing to
was
do.
taking the high ground. But anyway, let's get to it.
Isn't he horrible? Isn't he such a little toad?
I think, look, everybody is so kind of locked in on their Team Fizz or Team Ty side. Everything that anyone's doing.
Right.
Some people are on Team
No,
Ty.
listen,
Whenever...
I know some people are on Team Tyrone, but at this point, are you not wavering somewhat in your loyalty? Like, it's okay, you can admit it. Aren't you starting to find it a bit gross, or do you revel in the sordid nature of his depravity?
I think that even Tyrone was a bit shaky about
He
whether he
was
was on
getting a
Team
bit-
Tyrone midway through this week, to be fair.
Oh, man.
If I think on this side, this story has really kind of gripped everyone and split us in two. And if you're on Team Fizz, whatever Fizz does is the right thing to do, and whatever Tyrone thing just makes him worse and worse, and vice versa.
Well,
as
I kind of like the mess they got into this week, because it really was a case of just misunderstandings and people getting their backs up, and it's one of those inevitable tragedies, inevitable domestic tragedy, which Coronation Street is all about. So anyway, on Monday, Fizz reminds Tyrone that he's supposed to have the girls after school today. And can I just add, I don't know if it can't be to do with Bubbles, because we have seen Alina with Hope. We haven't seen Ruby, obviously.
Ruby
There's
just
obviously,
don't know what to do at the
there's
moment.
clearly some coronavirus stuff going on, which is limiting the amount of time that we can really see them together. But I do think it is really odd that we hear about Tyrone having the kids, we only see Alina doing it. For all that I've seen, Fizz has done all of the childcare, but then she's asking Tyrone, or telling him that he's got to look after the children after school. So presumably this is an ongoing arrangement where they share the childcare a little bit. Obviously, I don't think they sleep over with Tyrone. But have you seen Tyrone take care of his children at all since he shacked up with Alina?
He's too shagged out, isn't he?
He clearly is. It's not. I assume that he's doing some kind of childcare, but it really is bad for his image that we haven't seen any of it on the show. Anyway, yeah, I just like, the one thing I don't want is for this storyline to like malign fathers who have sort of left their wife or girlfriend and moved on.
No, I don't want to see Norris dressing up as Batman again.
Yeah, I don't. I feel really. It's a very difficult situation because I understand that not every relationship works out, and you can't just stay at home for the kids. And Tyrone's got to move on if that's what he wants. But he's not being he's been a terrible father. Anyway, what?
No, carry on.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think that there were times this week when he was written a bit more sympathetically, especially when Fizz was, particularly foamy at the mouth. She was fizzing at the mouth, let's say, and bringing in the lawyers and everything. And Tyrone was like, "Oh, woe is me." But I think we were supposed to sympathise. I think they're doing a pretty good job of not making it look 100% either way.
Okay,
honestly, I think that I'm not straying.
I'm not gonna tell you what to think. That's not what this podcast is about. So anyway, he's having the girls after school. He says, of course, but then he says to Alina he forgot all about it. He said to Dev he'd do an extra shift. So this is him delivering groceries, isn't it?
It is.
So Alina says, don't worry, I'll look after them. So then Alina overhears that Sarah wants a machinist. So she says, oh, why don't you have Fizz? I know that she's very good and she needs the money.
It's not Fizz, it's Fees.
Fees. Sarah's like, what? I thought that you hated each other. And Alina's sort of like, oh, I've decided to take the high road. And Sarah's, oh, good, great, that's brilliant. So Hope goes, Hope's and Alina are together. Ruby's locked in the toilet, I think, we find out.
I don't know.
I think she was. She's locked in the toilet.
You might be right.
Maybe they've got one of those 1001 toilet joke books in there.
Oh, yeah.
To pass the time.
Yeah.
So Hope's looking through Alina's makeup box. I hope that she hasn't got any double glammy stuff in there because that's expensive. You don't want the kids to mess around with that, do you? Hope starts saying that she's insecure about her appearance and she wants Alina to give her a makeover. But she's trying to get Alina in trouble here.
She's not really secure about her appearance, is she? She's completely taken Alina for a ride at this point.
You just said exactly what she just said. She's not very secure with her appearance.
She's not actually insecure about her appearance.
I hope that Hope has no thoughts about how she looks because she's a little girl. But we know that society is very cruel. So maybe she is worried about not having enormous eyelashes like a camel.
Yeah, I just love how she's so switched on that she can use that to...
I'm glad you didn't say turned on, but you were going to say that, didn't. Anyway, she is she's Evil Hope, and we love Evil Hope on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
We stand Evil Hope. So she's just being manipulative and not insecure, which is actually I prefer. I much prefer a manipulative little girl than one that's sad about the way she looks. That's what we should have more of in this country.
Because I think the last time maybe we'd seen Hope with Alina is when she was saying, "Oh, she's no Elsa." Could you remember?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
No, she's no. No, who did?
She was saying that she's crap, basically. And that's great.
Alina said that she was more Anna than Elsa, wasn't she? And Hope's like, no way.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Who's the magic one?
Elsa.
But Anna had magic of her own because she's got a great personality. All right, later on, Fizz is having FaceTime with Izzy, and again, you said this to me.
What?
Isn't it a thrill now to see Izzy?
I love seeing Izzy on the podcast. On the programme.
We really enjoy seeing Izzy pop up on her little FaceTime chat.
It's great. It's I think this break from Izzy has really made me appreciate her more. I mean, I'm sure that the next time she comes wheeling around the cobbles, I'll be like, oh no, here we go again. But I think that she's been great, these couple of appearances. It's lovely that Shirley's being able to be included in the programme somehow.
And it's nice because it feels real, true to life.
Yeah, true, and how things are at the moment. Yeah, so she's having a fizz time with Face. They're just getting drunk together, aren't they?
Well, yeah.
Socially distanced drunk.
Sarah comes in and says, do you want a job? And Fizz says, yeah, I love a job. And Sarah says, Sarah's such a stir, isn't she? She's been stirring all this week. Oh, you shouldn't give them your liver. Oh, yeah, Alina, you should thank Alina. Why would you say to somebody, you should thank your husband's mistress for this job. Fizz is not happy about this. She goes around the flat and she goes around Alina's flat. She's already mad that she owes her a favour. And then she sees Hope covered in makeup, including lashes that have been glued individually to her eyes. I don't know how do you attach them, stick them on the other eyelashes that already exist, which always seems strange to me. Also, Alina is done up as well in like this really childish looking, super rouged face. She's getting mad. Then Tyrone comes home and he's like, "Oh, Alina, I'm so disappointed in you." And Tyrone and Alina argue. By this point, I think everyone else is gone. And Alina says that Fizz is playing them off against each other. And then she goes, "Oh, let's go make up with each other." And he gets all randy again. And they both go off to the
Well,
bedroom.
who knows where?
Well, I don't know where they're doing it. I think it was Chad on the Facebook group who pointed out that at this point, Alina's still wearing this childish makeup. And she looks like a little girl even more than she usually does. And it's really cringe and gross.
Yeah, she knows what she... It doesn't take much to get Tyrone's pulse racing, does she? And he's such a horny... He's turned into a dirty perv, isn't he? He feels like...
I really am not enjoying this at all. It's gross and...
I'm enjoying being grossed out by it.
I think I'm enjoying the outrage because... spoiler alert, I have been very super stressed this week. I joked about having a mental breakdown last week. I think I had a little one today. I googled it just to check. I've been crying, I've been screaming, I've been shouting.
What, to yourself in an empty home?
Yeah, why not?
I don't better that
What are
than
you
out on the
supposed to do?
streets.
What am I supposed to do? Put a dressing gown on and go and like stop people on the street?
Yeah. You're right. I tried to speak to you on the phone earlier.
wouldn't talk to you.
I got told off.
I've been having a
I had
day.
the phone put down
I'm
on me.
having a day. So it's really fun to direct that rage and anger towards a fictional character that has done something naughty, because it's kind of no stakes, is there?
No.
Nobody's going to get hurt because I'm mad at Tyrone. So I feel like I can channel my energy quite safely.
Yeah, you do it.
It's better than doing what I was doing earlier, which is sitting on the sofa crying.
Don't, you make me feel bad.
Why?
I didn't cause your mental breakdown.
No, it wasn't you. It wasn't you. It's just everything. I had a really
There's
bad
just
day
a lot
today.
going on at the moment, everybody.
If I tell you what happened this morning, you'll laugh at me, but it was really traumatic because me and my dad had to take the dishwasher out, and
We've got an integrated dishwasher that the new buyers
don't want it, so we had to
don't
take it out, and we didn't know how to do it. So my dad came around to help, and I was already feeling a bit bad and upset and very stressed out, and I've had a stomachache because of stress, so I was not great. And then I was trying to do work in the other room, and then suddenly my dad starts screaming at me, going, "Don't turn off the water!" And I can hear water rushing and pouring everywhere.
I didn't know this story. You haven't told me this yet.
And so I rush in, and he's going, "Find the stopcock! Turn off the stopcock!" So, like, we've been all, "Oh, where's your stopcock?" to the people who buying the house off. "Well, where's the stopcock?" I don't know where our stopcock is.
I know exactly where the stopcock is in the new house, but no idea here.
So I went into the cupboard, and I'm just turning dials, and he's like going, "Get out of there! Ah!" So I run in to the kitchen, and water's still going everywhere, and it's spraying me in the face, and it's covering my clothes in water. It was like, it was the most hilarious, but also tragic, because I was really mad. And so I had to fight. He's going, "Get a bucket! Find a bucket!" I found like I had to open the oven and get out a what's it called? A pan, a saucepan. So I put that in there, and then there's water going everywhere. There's stuff. I'm pulling stuff out from underneath the sink, and finally we get it to stop. And then eventually, after a while, he's trying to get stuff up from under the sink and fix all that. And then he says, "Okay, I'll go turn the water on again." So I'm sitting there, and he turns the water on, and it sprays me in the face again. Literally sprays me in the face with cold water, and I'm like, like this.
Was
and
this
then
before or after I phoned you and you were
this
having
was
a little
about the
breakdown?
same time that you tried to phone me.
Okay.
And then he was trying to fix it, and I didn't know if he could fix it. The water was everywhere, and everything was getting messy and dirty and disgusting. And then I'm getting phone calls from you about awkward things that are very stressful, and that was what happened today. So it was kind of comedic, but also
Thanks for telling me the context.
I had to cry for a lot. There wasn't enough water as it was. So I had a day today, and but now I feel better because I cried, and also Coronation Street wasn't too bad. It was quite funny.
Yeah, good.
So and I'm enjoying doing the podcast.
Wow, if that had happened on Coronation Street, that'd be the comedy storyline of the week.
That's what
wasn't
I'm thinking. I'm like, I can imagine this happening to Gemma and Chesney.
This sounds like, Reg and Maureen in the waterbed levels of hilarity.
Oh, it's not funny when you're actually doing it. That's why they're all
Not with Gemma's dad.
That's why all the towels are on the rack.
Oh, okay.
I had to do 2 loads of laundry today, as well as everything else.
I'm glad I wasn't here.
I was
would have
like,
been
at
totally
the
useless and your
stage,
dad would have just been getting
screaming.
mad at me.
I still really have this fantasy that I want to go out into the darkness somewhere and scream.
Let's do it after the podcast.
I know, but I think everyone would think I'm being murdered. I don't want to upset people, but I do think I really need to scream somewhere in the dark. Anyway, so that's why I'm kind of... You said about being outraged. I'm just kind of enjoying being outraged at Tyrone. And is it healthy? I don't know.
But nice to see, even though we know it's not real, that other people are also having difficulties at the moment, and it's not just us.
And it's also kind of... It makes you feel kind of happy when somebody... it's self-inflicted, you know? When you suffer for your wrongdoings. Because I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong to deserve this, being sprayed in the face by my dad with water. It's not fair.
No.
And then we put the dishwasher outside and somebody stole it. But that's fine, that was part of my plan.
It saves us having to get it taken away by the council.
So, on Wednesday, Emma's put up...
Back to Corrie.
Right, so Emma's sick and tired of this, and I really like that she stood up for herself again. She is not...
Wednesday was the picture episode, wasn't it?
Yes.
Some people thought it was stupid. I was all in for that. I thought that was hilarious.
Well, we remember...
And the reactions that everyone was given to it.
Remember Alina had this... couples, should she call it couples photo shoot or something?
Like that, yeah.
Like it's a thing. Like you have your...
It's more of a couples photo shop, wasn't it?
It was a little bit. The way she was talking about it was in such a matter-of-fact way, as though everybody has one. Like, you have your engagement party, you know, you get married, you have your couples photo shoot.
You know, these young'uns these days, there's people in their early 20s, they've got all their strange traditions and rituals and routines, haven't they?
They're making up a whole new world of dating, aren't they?
I think we need to get in on
Good luck
it.
to them.
Well, what should we do? Because Tyrone and... let's just get to the photo and then we can...
So,
think about
first of all,
what we
Emma's
would
like saying to Alina and Tyrone, can you stop having noisy sex because I don't like it and you're keeping me awake? I don't know what... I think I would cringe myself to death if somebody did this and I could hear them.
Tyrone's just proud of himself, isn't he?
He's foul.
He's so chuffed.
So, the giant photo arrives and finally Tyrone starts to realise that he's gotten himself into a really unusual situation.
So the photo then, there's the car with the hood up, and in front of that we got Tyrone standing with his like big old bicep there, kind of just looking all manly.
And what's the name of the object in his hand?
And some kind of car turning twisteroo.
It's a car turner, yes.
Yeah, and Alina's there giving her kind of sexy like sort of.
Do you know who she reminds
Daisy
me
pose.
of? She reminds me of that really cringy time that David and Victoria Beckham went somewhere and there were all these rumours about him having an affair, and Victoria Beckham was posing like he was a stripper pole, and she had her knee. Do you remember that picture?
No.
She was doing the exact same pose as Alina, like with her knee raised.
She looked
to show
like
off
it
her
looked like
calves.
something off. What's that magazine that real men buy? FMV, FH. What is it? FHM.
HMV.
I don't know. What's it been?
Playboy.
No, I'm sure there's a man's magazine. I don't know.
Nuts. Zoo.
No, it's something like that, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
No, there's a magazine. There's a famous men's magazine
That
which
does
has
what?
just got tarty ladies on the cover. She basically looked
thought
like
they were-
that. And then, so they're standing in front of this car, and then behind the car, there's this like an explosion of sparks. It looked awful, and it was obviously supposed to tacky and cringeworthy, and Tyrone takes one look of it, and I think that this is the point. He realises, what have I got myself into? I'm dating
a woman who is far beyond my ken, basically.
I don't know what we would have if we were to have a photo done like that. So he's stood in front of a car. What would I be, like in front of a blackboard or something?
Excuse me, it would be us with a bunch of kittens.
Exploding kittens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like a bit like a fire explosion, and I'm there with my sexy knee up, and I've got a kitten in both my
I can't
hands.
do the bicep thing that Tyrone's do.
But if I give you a big old, I don't know, big old fat cat.
No, I'd be there in my mortarboard and my cane, and it'd be a bit kinky.
I don't like that.
You'd be a naughty schoolgirl.
That's disgusting.
Anyway. So this photo is great, and good on Roxandra and Alan for posing for that. Because,
it was really, really cheesy. It was great.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's really badly photoshopped together, because obviously they can't stand that close to each other in real life, and the
sparks behind the car, that they didn't even attempt to make that look good.
To be honest, every picture tells a story, right? Every picture's worth 1,000 words, they say.
Mm.
The story I get from this is that Tyrone's letting the car blow up because he's being seduced by a sexy lady, which is kind of what happens.
I think it's like
week.
He's looking underneath the hood to find out what's the problem with this, but it's actually coming out the boots exploding.
You can't even find the right part of the car. And isn't it a metaphor for what happens this week as his job starts to become in jeopardy due to his playing around with...
he gets the talking to from Officer Craigie tonight.
It was a prophecy, this picture, and everyone laughed at it, but actually it was like the Nostradamus of photos. So anyway, Alina sees Tyrone at work, and she's like, oh, you do like the photo, don't you? It's really nice. And he says, of course I do, I love it.
I love how she just completely adores the photograph as well. That's clearly the tackiest thing ever.
It really is a bit like Hilda and the Muriel.
It is,
where
isn't
she's
it?
got something that is... Because I think those kind of things were quite fashionable at the time, to have murals and painted things and stuff.
Mm.
I don't know how widespread it was, but I think it was kind of a classy thing to do.
Yeah.
Whereas this is I don't know.
You got the famous scene where Annie goes into number 13 and sees Hilda's mural on the wall, and we got...
like, oh God.
Yeah, I think I'll just face this way, get acclimatised to it. And this week we just had a couple of people going into the flat, and like Fizz's reaction as well to see it is just like, what the hell have you got yourself in? She just found that quite hilarious.
I think this is kind of iconic, to be honest.
It is, it totally is.
I hope this picture stays in the show for a long time.
I mean,
hilarious.
They're not going to keep it out there forever, are they? But they can't get rid of it, and this is massive canvas.
It is
that's
huge.
Going to be.
It must have cost so much money.
I know. That's going to be there on the wall in the props department, isn't it? I want to see. Next time we go up around the set, I want to see this photo for real.
I need Alina and Tyrone to stay together for enough time so that I can admire this photo.
I want to see them you have it as their Christmas card this year. Put a sexy Santa hat on her. You can't make a Photoshop any worse. Just bung it right on there.
Just bung it on the top.
Yeah.
Clip art will do.
Yeah.
What we need is a gallery of really awful Coronation Street art. Or just iconic Coronation Street art. Like we can have Alf as the mayor.
Well, the Coronation Street colouring book has got plenty of iconic colouring pictures, hasn't it? Available from all good bus shops.
And Jimmy Mystery.
Mm?
On an orange background.
Oh yeah, and don't forget
Cal.
Don't forget Jesus and the Cowboy.
I love him. I will not be told that's anything other than Jesus and a Cowboy. Don't even try to tell me.
We've been told, but
I don't want to be told. So anyway, this photo is awful, but nobody can admit it because Alina's so hot like Aphrodite, as Ronnie and Tyrone decide. And as they're talking about this, along comes Fizz, asking for £40 to be put into the joint bank account because the girls need shoes. Talk about coming back down to earth. Emma's alone in the flat.
She's trying to sleep, isn't she? Because she's not been able to get any sleep because of their incessant rutting, and she's there rather than going on into bedroom. She decides to sleep with
not funny
this
if she
photo
goes
looming
into the
over
bedroom.
her. But the expressions that Ali's pulling when she's like she's going under the covers and then peering out and just getting creeped out by this thing looking down on her. It was great.
The other thing we need in our portrait gallery is the picture of William Roach.
Oh yes, did people enjoy my Photoshop that I put on Twitter last night? I was quite pleased with that one. I think I did a
really
good job
good.
with that one. The William Roach 60th anniversary portrait. That was another massive canvas. I tastefully inserted into the scene. I think it was quite good.
Emma would have preferred that.
I
surely.
think there's a lot of mileage that can be done with that photo in Photoshop wise. Like we can replace the photo with other things, or we can have, put the photo in famous art galleries, can't we? Like have people in the Louvre, looking at Tyrone and Alina, or
going, I'm so glad I came here. And you know what? The weird thing is, her eyes do follow me across the room.
Yeah. Or we could do it like Coronation Street, stick it in famous curry scenes, like where Deb's naked on the side of the building. Now we replace it with this.
Michael, you're giving away all your ideas here. You got to do all these before the podcast comes out now. Right, so she's weirded out. She tries to cover it up. Alina shows up and she's like, why are you doing that to my lovely picture? And Emma's like, art's very subjective and, oh God, what can I say? The first time I saw it, I thought it was like, they were cosplaying Grease. But it's not, is it?
No.
No, I know it's not.
It was cosplaying Grease monkeys.
Alina has to take Hope home from school. And she's still got her eyelashes on, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And so Alina's trying to take her home, and I think she's naughty or something. She's something like
that. She's doing the usual Corrie thing of when people walk down the road, one of them has to walk 2 meters behind the other one.
Yeah.
And then when Alina's back's turned, Hope's gone. There's a screech of cars. It sounded like she just hijacked something from outside the garage, but no, that was Ronnie driving away, almost hitting Hope.
Yeah. And everyone's shocked because this could have been a tragedy. And Alina says, you did it on purpose to try to scare me. And Tyrone says, great, Fizz is going to love this.
I can imagine, if the car had been getting too close to hitting her, she would have just turned round and, held her hand out and used her pyrokinetic powers to just explode it in a ball of flame, and Ronnie had been flung out of the street and we're like, yeah, well done, Hope, I'll be even more now.
If Hope turns
Don't
out
buy
to
the Rovers,
be
Ronnie.
Some kind of X-Men mutant with...
she is.
I mean, we know that David is trying to develop telekinesis.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of that recently. There's Chris moving powers. I don't know whether he's moved on to... the big family size bags yet.
Yeah, we don't know. We haven't seen enough of him. I think we should do. It's not fair.
David
anyway, so Fizz comes along and Hope says, I want. She basically said, I ran into the road as if she wants to end her life because Alina says everybody loves Ruby and nobody likes me. And I was thinking, I don't know, is it true? Everyone was saying that Ruby's very cute.
We've not seen much of her in this past year and a half.
Hope being evil is definitely my jam. Yeah.
And Ruby's is just sassy.
At home, Fizz has to go at Tyrone and says, I don't want Alina to have anything to do with my girls again. And Tyrone and Alina say, you can't do this. And she says, well, I will. And they leave and she starts crying and goes to see Adam. And she says, I don't know what it is, but I want some kind of legal thing against Alina, an injunction or whatever. And Adam says, I think you are being a bit too hasty now. I think you should talk it through. And she's like, and drops off. She goes round to Tyrone's flat. And
this is when she sees the art.
Yeah, she says, look, okay, I'll calm things down, but maybe we need to have some kind of proper consent order in place before you see the girls again, because they could have got hurt. And he says, no, I'll just see them without Alina if I have to. And she says, no, I'm not having it. And then she looks at the portrait and she says, you're a joke, you know that, and leaves. And oh my gosh, can you imagine how big of a hole you would fall into if you were Tyrone at that very moment?
I know.
This is the kind of picture, that picture they've got is the kind of picture that if you don't 100% love it, you need to get it out of your life, because you cannot half-heartedly own a picture like that. You have to commit yourself. You really do. You can't be Tyrone about it. You have to be Alina. So anyway, she's left him feeling silly, and he follows her back home and has it out with her, because obviously now his pride's been wounded. And Evelyn walks in on it, and he does the old... oh, Ruby's my daughter, not yours. You can't have her. And everybody has a cliffhanger over the break, and all around the country, we're all going, whoa, whoa.
I can't believe he said that.
Can't believe that's an awful thing to say.
He went there.
Oh, dear. But look, this is not the first time they've had this argument. In fact, I don't think it's the second time they've had this argument. This couple have been saying this to each other the entire time they've been a couple, as far as I can remember.
Every
time
now
they
and
have a
then, you
massive
make it out
argument.
like, you know.
No, but they said it far too much for me to be surprised that this came out of his mouth.
Mm.
Then he says, oh, I didn't mean it. And Evelyn takes Fizz's side. Fizz orders him out and starts crying. And Evelyn's trying to calm Fizz down, so don't use the kids as ammunition. And Fizz says, but I don't know what to do. Everyone's taking Tyrone's side.
Use this AK-47. Is that a gun?
Yes.
Trying to sound manly then again.
Or use a big gun like an AK-47. That's what James Bond has, probably. Don't know what to do. Everyone always seems to take Tyrone's side, and how could lovable Tyrone be mean? And I think really that everyone's discovering lovable Tyrone does not exist.
I'm finding this really interesting because this is what Jenny said, Jenny McAlpine, when I did that Zoom call with her at the press day a couple of months ago, and she was saying everybody always takes Tyrone's side. People, whatever he does, he's like Teflon, and they always have a go at Fizz about it. And it's funny that within the show as well, she's saying that. So he is.
It's really frustrating because I don't feel that way at all about the situation. But I do know that I've seen people doing it, and it really surprises me.
I don't think I'm really hating Tyrone at the moment still. Not in the same way you are.
There are no Romanian girlfriends for you, Michael.
I know. I'm just really enjoying the story. And one of the things I wondered was, would this story be as compelling with a different couple? Because in many ways, I'm unhappy with the direction this is going, because I don't want Fizz and Tyrone to split up. I've said this many times. They've been together for a decent amount of time now, nine odd years. I think they're a pretty solid couple. I know some people said they were boring, but I think as an everyman couple, I thought they were great. I loved Tyrone. I loved Fizz. So I wasn't happy they were split up. But then, so I thought, well, who would this story work with? And if it was like, if this was Adam and Sarah,
who cares?
Or if this was Gary and Maria, who was like, yeah, fine, let them split up. Let's see what that. I've got no, I'm not precious about those as a couple at all. But the storyline would be boring.
Exactly.
So
I know, this is the thing. I'm not too mad about this anymore. I was really mad about it before, but the whole point of the show is to engage you and get you to talking and frustrated and feeling emotions about a TV show isn't a bad thing. So I'm wondering, it shows that it's it's if you care enough about it to get mad about one of the storylines, it shows that it's still you still.
Yeah, so I'm wondering whether I will get to that stage with Jenny and Johnny, because at the moment I'm still. Yeah, Corey's not in my good books for splitting those two up. But you know what? When the story carries on, have we seen much of Johnny, if anything, this week? I mean, a little bit of it we saw. When they eventually start slinging mud and everything, maybe I'll really be into it, because I like those characters.
I have to say I do most of the time like a good argument.
Yeah.
And I really like this, like I said, this situation of where everything kind of spirals a bit out of control at this point during the week, because Alina. So this is where Alina starts to manipulate Tyrone, in my opinion. She is not sure how to react to this, but I am waiting. I feel like the foundations are being laid here for her to start saying things like, "Oh, why does she have the house?"
I don't know whether she's that manipulative. I don't think that she's got much going on between those ears. I think that
you don't need to have much going on between your ears to recognise a pound sign, especially when there's a purple bricks sign up outside the Rovers because two other people got split up. Think about it. You don't have to be a genius.
No, I don't think so. I think she's just happy to be in a relationship with Ty, and most of what she's done so far, if not all of it, she's being portrayed as the innocent yet also seductive temptress.
I don't find anything innocent or a misunderstanding or not your fault of getting in between a couple when you know that they're in a relationship, when they're still going out with each other. I know. There's literally no situation I can see where it's appropriate to split a couple up.
I agree, but we've not seen her scheming or
and
anything
having an
like
affair
that.
with somebody. unless you've got given a week to live, and the doctor's like, if you want to shag anyone, you've got to do it in the next few days because you're going to die, then maybe I could forgive you for... But can't you just break up first? Do you see what I'm saying?
No, totally. I
There's
think...
literally nothing that's so speedy that you need to jump into bed so quickly as these two have. I don't get it. There's literally nothing about the situation that makes Alina innocent, Michael. Just because she got glued on eyebrows, you're suddenly like, oh, she can't be
she's just got that
look at her lovely face.
That baby doll kind of
accent.
Look,
she's got dimples.
Oh my God.
Stupid men. So anyway, Alina's like, oh, well, why don't we take advantage of the kidless weeks and go on holiday, and when Fizz calms down, we go back to her, and let's have a lavender bubble bath. And he's like, you don't get it. This is really important. And I still don't know what he's done here, because we never find out really. He starts tapping away at the computer, and then Fizz has calmed down because Evelyn sort of talked her down. Then she looks at her phone and stomps off, and she goes to see Adam and says, Tyrone's taken a load of money out of the joint account. I haven't spoken to him about it, but he's either taking Alina out somewhere or he's going to get himself a lawyer. So I need to beat him to it, and I need to get the legal cogs a turning. And she says, I'll do whatever it takes to stop Tyrone. Yes, revenge. On Friday, Fizz has to go at Tyrone in the street. And he says, well, I need cash as well. He says he went out clubbing. Is that really what it was for?
I think
because
so.
But the thing is, though, he kind of sits down like, you don't get it. This is important. And then he, like, taps on the computer like, you don't get it, Alina. This is really important. How much money do we need for shots? Does that make sense?
Well,
Not really.
He definitely goes out clubbing because somebody gets a shot on booze on his top, doesn't he? He
goes out clubbing. He's been boozing, and they have arguments with each other. He goes to work, and Kevin says, "You still smell of booze," and he's like, "Oh no, some students spilled
beer, wasn't it?
Ale on me, and I'm fine. I was out drinking till late, but I'm fine now." And Tyrone says, Kevin says, "Oh, you better watch out. It's harder to bounce back after a night out at your age."
Well, he says, like, when you're nearly 40, and Tyrone's like, I'm not, but he is, isn't he?
You are.
Tyrone is our age. I thought he was like a year older than us, or maybe he's a year... He's pretty much the same, isn't he?
I know, but if somebody said to me, "You're nearly 40, I would still get mad. It's like, shut up. You don't need to say it. You don't need to say it.
My clubbing days are well behind me now.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never been to a club. Life begins at 40.
That's true. You can go to a club if you like. You should go for your 40th birthday.
Yeah, all right then. What? Yeah. So he's thinking of booze all the Fridays.
Yeah, so Kevin's like, "Oh dear, that's not good." Then he tries to ask, Tyrone tries to ask Adam, "Oh, can you be my lawyer because Fizz is being a cow?" And Adam's like, "Sorry, it's not legal."
Conflict of interest.
I can't because I'm already representing her. So he goes over and bangs on the door. Then they shout again at each other. And Tyrone says, "You can't have Ruby. I've checked. She's mine." I've checked. She's mine.
Check the label.
I should have looked on the barcode and it matches. So checkmate. Fizz says, "Actually, it's all down to who she's best with. Also, you stink of booze." And so he goes over. He's just been off to a breakdown rescue. Didn't help me out. It's Officer Craigie comes up to him and says, "I've got reason to believe you've been driving under the influence," and gives him a breathalyzer test because he stinks of alcohol. He tries to explain he's just wearing the clothes from yesterday, but it doesn't wash. He passes the test, but he still gets a warning because he only just passed it. Oh dear, and when Craig goes, Tyrone thinks Fizz has dobbed him in, and I don't think she's
twitching the curtains,
she's
isn't
watching
she, at
from
number
over
9.
the road. What fun. He goes over and accuses her. She says, "Yeah, whatever, I'll do it again if I had the chance." Evelyn is mad because...
She's more disappointed than mad, isn't she?
She's like, "You guys could sort this out, but you just keep arguing with each other," which is fun to watch, but not really productive. Tyrone goes home to complain to Alina about all this, And she says, oh, you have to fight back for the girl's sake. And he says, well, I've got no choice now, I have to. And then he does the pose from the picture.
And then there's a car explodes behind him.
And she goes, oh no, another one. So Evelyn finds Fizz's list of Alina's faults, which is evidence. And I thought this was pretty bad of Evelyn. I think this is correct. This is what Fizz should do. Not necessarily a list of all the things, because she had on there stuff like squinty face and stupid accent, which I thought wasn't really anything wrong. No, she didn't really. She was writing down all the things that had happened.
That reminds me, do you remember when who was it that wrote it? Was it Toy or Leanne who writing the list of pros and cons about Imran? Do you remember that?
I remember vaguely.
Can't remember anything that was on it, but I know that list has been kept.
So, where are we?
Handsome lawyer. Where are we up to? I don't know. I'm lost in it.
Faults, yeah. So anyway, you should do this in a situation where you're having some kind of disagreement with somebody.
Yeah.
You should be taking notes of things.
Well, it's just things like nearly allowed Hope to get run over by Uncle Ronnie's car, that
Glued
kind of
her
thing.
eyelids shut.
Yeah.
Said she was not as good as Hope, for example.
Cooked her tripe soup.
I think you'll find out with Seb and he's dead. That was really poor taste, Michael. Just like the soup. So anyway, she finds this list and she said, this isn't the way to go about things. You can't do this. And then Fizz really heartbreakingly says, I still love him. This is killing me. I can't stand to see them together. And she says, I lie there at night and I imagine them together. Like, ooh. If you go around to Emma's, you don't have to imagine. You can hear everything that's happening.
They're probably filming it, aren't they?
Oh my god.
You bet they are. I bet Alina's got her little webcam there.
No. I don't know what kids these days get up to.
They film it.
But you shouldn't. It's bad. You shouldn't, because it can be used against you.
Probably uploaded to the family account on Tyrone's phone like the last time.
This is like, oh, what's this? Another bank alert.
It's a bonk alert.
Poor Fizz is still in love with Tyrone and she can't stand to see this happen. Evelyn says, oh, I had a friend whose husband left her, blah, blah, blah. It's basically her. She admits it's her.
Yeah, I was reading between the lines though. I think maybe she was talking about herself then.
So, yeah, she says she is in the same situation and he came crawling back and she told him where to go.
Yeah, because she'd moved on and found some new friends and she'd kind of made a new life for herself. Evelyn with friends, I'd like to see that. I really would,
Maybe
actually.
She meant dog friends.
I really...
Well, we've seen Arthur. We've seen her other friend that she went on a train trip with.
I know. I want to see her, bring back the
1
spirit
o'clock
of Ina,
club.
Martha and Minnie. Or even branch of the 1 o'clock club, yeah.
So anyway, well, now we've got an Undertaker's 1 o'clock club could come back, couldn't they? Anyway, she says, Fizz, you need to move on with your life. You can't just be bitter. Tyrone comes to number 9 to collect Ruby later. Fizz has calmed down and she says, I won't stop you from seeing the girls whenever you want. Tyrone is happy and he says, all right, I won't take Ruby away from you then. How nice. Isn't that nice? This really wound me up because, as usual, it's the woman who has had to make all the concessions. He's got everything he wants out of this.
Well, they're kind of just...
He's in no way...
the same situation now as they were at the beginning of the week, really, aren't they?
I know, but
What has changed?
Nothing really, except it was fun to watch them arguing.
It's one of these things that, is natural for a couple who's going through this situation. They're going to have these thoughts and they're going to have these moments of high tension and arguments, and I'm taking the kids, no you're not. So I didn't mind seeing it, even if it hasn't particularly progressed.
I just feel really bad for Fizz because she's got nothing now. She's kind of been tricked into being grateful for Tyrone leaving her with the children in the house. Oh, thanks Tyrone for not dragging this through the courts and trying to take Ruby off of me. Well,
I did. But it's difficult. Part of me is thinking, yeah, he really should have the last say on Ruby because, yes, she is his daughter, not hers. But you got to remember that...
he said they didn't want to split the children up.
Fizz has been Ruby's mum since she was about, 3 months old, maybe 4? So pretty much all of Ruby's life, Fizz has been the mother figure there. So even it's so tricky.
What we need is for Kirsty to come up and go, well, I don't think so.
Just imagine if
Neither
Kirsty
of you
was
are
to
having
stride
them.
into the street,
Having her
probably with a exploding car behind her as well, I imagine. And just say, I will have her, thank you very much.
I would love... Wouldn't it be kind of...
And then it's Fizz and Tyrone unite in the face of Kirsty.
I kind of imagine Fizz and Kirsty uniting against Tyrone.
Oh, yeah.
And Kirsty giving Alina the evil eyes, and Alina going, I don't care what she says about me. I'm in love with you, Tyrone. And Tyrone's going, no, you don't understand. She'll beat you with a hoover.
She'll throw a silver... What was it? A silver dummy or a rattle or something that she threw at him at one time as well?
Well, yeah. I don't think Kirsty's going to be turning up to solve this.
I don't think that she is needed in this story, but it would be
certainly
fun.
Not.
Did you think in any way Fizz was being unreasonable this week, like getting the lawyers in and everything? Because I kind of did, but I also... I could understand where she was coming from, and if she's seriously worried that Ruby, who is by all extents her daughter, she could be losing her when she hasn't done anything to deserve it.
I did not think she was in the wrong, only because she thought that Tyrone had done it before she did. And this is why I kind of like the story, because it was a series of misunderstandings that had been built upon this mistrust that had been bred between these two because of all the things that have happened before.
She went to Adam first, though, didn't she? She went to Adam first. Adam said, no, you need to cool your jets a little bit. Then she went back to him after she thought that Tyrone had been there. She
saw the money had come out of her account. And then she went to Adam.
No, she went to Adam first. She went to see Adam, and then he said, no, you need to try and... I don't think this is a very good idea. And this is when she went clip-clopping off back down the street. And then when she sees Adam in the pub afterwards, that was the second time that she'd seen him. I'm trying to find it in our notes. I'm sure we just talked about this. Where have we got it? Where did it happen? I'm sure it did. I'm just trying to fill dead time here, dead air. I'm definitely right. I'm going to do a little search for Adam here. Fizz goes to see Adam. Yeah, look. She wants an injunction or something against Alina. And then she goes to see him at the very end of the episode.
This was because Hope had just said she was going to run into the street rather than hang around Alina.
So,
and then Fizz said...
Tensions were high.
Fizz says, I'm going to go to see Adam, and he says, cool off. And then she sees the money's been taken out, and then she goes back to him. Okay, fine, but still, can you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think it was unreasonable for her to sort of go, oh God, he won't listen to me when I say it's about... And I think she's overreacting a little bit too with Alina, because she knows Hope's a pyromaniac. Don't pretend, Fizz. You tried to take her to special school and it didn't work.
I think that maybe she kind of jumped on the opportunity that presented itself when Hope ran in front of Ronnie's car. She probably told her to do it. She's like, I'll give you an extra £5 pocket money this week, Hope, if you get yourself into a life-threatening situation whilst under the care of Alina. Go on, you'll be fine. Yeah, so
I don't know what's. I still am waiting for Evelyn to tell Tyrone that he's a stupid little.
I'm glad that she's taking Fizz's side more, but.
Well, she can't. She has to take her side because she lives in the house. Unless she's going to move in with Alina and Emma and Tyrone in that little flat.
Nah. I think that Evelyn has got some familial loyalty to Tyrone, so that she wouldn't, completely cut him off or anything.
Now we know the story behind her relationship woes. You can see why she's completely taking Fizz's side and she's staying with her. Quite apart from the fact there's no bedroom. Where the other one? You see what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah. But yeah, there's
also, the other thing I will say though
stuff.
is I didn't really think that Alina was in the wrong. Apart from don't glue things to children's faces.
I don't know what she was thinking there. She's being a bit too easily manipulated by Hope, isn't she? Surely, this is what I was saying earlier. She's not clever enough to be manipulative. She can be outsmarted by a 10-year-old.
Yeah, what's the age difference here? Is it like 5 years?
Think a little bit more than that.
I'd
say she's at least twice Hope's
apart
age.
from gluing the eyelashes on, I didn't think it was that bad that she put makeup on her. I don't get the outrage.
I mean, didn't Jade do that as well sometime? I've got vague recollections of a makeup party.
She put bruises on her.
Yeah, I know she did that, but I thought that she had a makeup party. I
think it's perfectly normal for little girls or little boys to want to dress up and put makeup on and do that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, it's just like having a little disco at home or something. It's
Or like
fine, but
be all like mummy or
but when you use super glue or
don't
whatever
glue
it is
things
on it,
to children. I've been told this.
that was
times.
a bit of a stupid idea. Although I was again, she is the expert on this, isn't she? She's the nail and eye.
Oh, I thought you were going to say she's
lady
the
bits.
expert 'cause she has most recently been a child.
Yeah. So and she knew you just need the right kind of solvent to get it off.
I don't think you should be having to select a special sort of substance to put on the child's face to get stuff off. Otherwise,
In Romania, we pierce all the girls' ears when they're 2 years old.
no.
Anyway, that's it for that story. I thought it was plenty fun. And then
That's a good
anything
argument.
else? Yeah, yeah. As I say, I'm a bit conflicted because I'm very unhappy that the couple have split up. But it's making for engaging
It certainly
drama.
is more. You certainly feel more invested in this than anything that's happened between Gary and Maria, Sarah and Adam.
I don't know whether I can think of a couple. I mean, Toya and Imran, they haven't got the same history, have they? They haven't got the girls to fight
Who
over.
doesn't?
Toya and Imran.
Well, they don't have any. Yeah, I mean, they'd need to adopt a few kids so that we can.
Yeah. Oh, who gets Kelly? You have her. You have her.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I can't think of another couple who would make the story more engaging. So maybe
Well, Johnny
maybe
and
they're
Jenny,
onto
but
something.
they haven't actually had an argument. They haven't had an
They've just
argument.
given
They
up,
just
haven't
had
they? They've
people
rolled
shout.
over.
One of them shouted at the other one, and then the other one shouted at the other one.
Well, speaking of Jenny and Johnny, let's talk about the Rovers changeovers now. So on Monday we had Jenny telling Daisy what's been going on about the breakup between her and Johnny and everything, and Daisy can barely contain her glee
This is
at
like
the
Christmas.
thought. This is everything that she's ever wanted. This is her dream, and it is literally her.
Yeah, it's been a dream
the
the whole
only
time.
thing that has been a driving force.
She's
for
the
the last 8
character
months or so.
on Coronation Street that's had the most consistent dream, and it's been this.
Yeah, and it's finally come true.
Hooray!
So Jenny says, "Look, Johnny and I have been drowning for years. I just need you to put out my misery."
Excuse me, Jenny. Have you not looked at that penguin picture?
Oh, the penguin
A
picture.
couple that are drowning and not committed to one another cannot have a penguin picture that cute.
Also, penguins can't drown. They're really good swimmers.
Think about it, Jenny. Think about it. They swim. No, they fly underwater.
Johnny had a sad scene this week at some point, didn't he? When he
Looking
looked
at
at
the
this.
picture.
Oh, I love that
He's
flipping
going.
picture.
He's just thinking. So who else then? Joanne, Josephine. Yeah. Anyone with a J I can have.
Are there any other J's on the street? I can't remember.
I don't think so. I think he's going to have to find a new character.
I think, yeah, if I could have a piece of wall art on Coronation Street just to take home as a souvenir, it'd probably be that.
And not Alina and Tyrone's picture, because I would love
For the
that
comedy
in
value.
the foyer.
I just think
Of
it's
my
cute, and then the
mansion.
visitors would come round and ask us why we've got J and J, and it'd be a bit of a
Be
talking
like,
point.
none of your business.
Anyway, so Daisy is thrilled at the prospect of that Jenny and Johnny splitting up, and but Jenny refuses to entertain the idea of jumping back into bed with Uncle Ronnie. She says, "No, I need to put that to bed." And then Johnny shows up for a chat, and Jenny says to him, "Look, I need you to move out. As soon as you found somewhere to live, you can stay here for a little bit, but we're over." He's not particularly happy with this idea. Where would I go? He says. Why don't you leave? So it's all a bit stalemate, really. And he suggests that, look, let's just leave it for a few weeks, see if the dust settles, see if we're still mad at each other then. And Jenny's like, no, I need to rip off this bandage now. We're done. We're over. Can't forgive you.
You don't rip off bandages.
Don't you?
You rip off a
you
band-aid
unwind.
or a plaster.
I was going to say band-aid, but I didn't want to...
Be
didn't want to-
branded.
No, I didn't want to go into American parlance. So
If you take off a bandage, it's like it kind of insinuates that there's...
I got bandages on the brain. I was teaching mummification in history
Oh, yeah.
today. It's really interesting. Those out the brain and everything. That's
with a crochet hook.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's. Yeah, that's probably
That's
what's
why
happened
the
to.
crochet hook was
I
invented.
think of a couple of characters on Coronation Street that maybe had that done to them. Bit of a
Well,
lobotomy.
their brain's hooked out.
Well, that would
their nose.
explain a few things.
It would actually.
Gail, maybe.
She's just been mummified.
So Daisy recommends a preemptive strike on Johnny. She says, look, grab his stuff, dump it in the giddle, change the locks. Jenny's like, no,
Amazing.
I can't do that. He is a sick man. She's determined that this marriage will at least end with some form of dignity, and that sounds like they're drawing up the lines to have a full scale fight later this summer, I imagine. So Jenny's back out. Jenny's in the Rovers out the back a bit later on, and this is when he's having a look at all the pictures and everything. There's a nice picture of him and Jenny on the side as well, and then he sets himself up on the laptop. Jenny comes in to see him later, and she's like, "Look, I'm sorry about earlier. I put you on the spot when I said you had to go. I don't need things to get nasty here. I don't want to go down the Fizz and Tyrone route with this one." And he's like, "No, you were right. We need to get this over. I'm selling up." Jenny is a bit gobsmacked by this. I don't know. I don't know what she thought was going to happen. But yeah, she was a little bit angry as well to find out that the Rovers could soon no longer be hers. Don't worry about it. I mean, if it's anything like selling up our house, you'll still be living there by Christmas, Jenny. She storms into the bar. Johnny's gone at this point. She's apparently been offered first refusal, but she's like, well, he knows that I can't afford it. What's the point of that? So Daisy says, what about Rita? Why doesn't she chip in? But that Jenny doesn't want to rip her off. And that would have been quite interesting, so having her go back to Rita, because that would have had shades of when Bet went to Rita back in '95, and when she was leaving.
Yes.
And Rita came very close to becoming the next owner of the Rovers, but I don't think that it's any better a prospect to buy now than it was 25 years ago. Daisy says, look, Jenny, you need to fight for this. You've earned the right to stay in this pub. You need to fight. So Jenny later on has been on the phone to the bank, but they're not going to give her a loan. I think she said something like, oh, one more flare up of COVID, or if we go into the next wave or something, and we could be out of business anyway, so can't go down that route. Nice and topical, like it. She's absolutely gutted after all the work that she's put into this business, like Monday quiz nights.
Yeah,
and
that was
a stool in the back of the bar for her to sit on and lord it over everyone like that. Yeah, she's definitely having that stool.
Take that.
Daisy comes in. No, what happens there? Oh, I'm just lost on my notes. Yeah. Daisy comes in with Ronnie later, saying he'll invest as a sleeping partner. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. He's under the impression. Ronnie comes in and says, "Yeah, I'll give you the money." Daisy's gone and got him and said, "Jenny wants you to come and give him the money." So he's under the impression it was her idea, but she's fuming at the suggestion and sends him on his way. It's just delaying the inevitable, isn't it?
I don't know.
If Ronnie doesn't end up buying the Rovers, I will be very, very pleased man indeed. It feels like it's got to happen. Night time later, Daisy comes downstairs, says sorry to Jenny, and says, look, I'm going to fight for the Rovers with you. And Jenny says, look, we're not going to end up on the streets. I will sort this. And that was kind of Monday was the main day for this story. It petered out a little bit on Wednesday and Friday. We had Wednesday, Daisy tells Fizz and Maria about Johnny selling up and Jenny, and she says, well, I think it could actually do with a bit of sprucing up here, actually. Daisy's kind of getting her claws into the Rovers, isn't she?
It would be really interesting if it turned out that she actually had loads of money.
All along. Because she's wanted.
She's never said that she was poor. She just said she didn't have anywhere to live. I
thought that she was mooching off that boyfriend that she had for one episode.
She did have a rich boyfriend, didn't she?
Yeah.
And her dad's got this new girlfriend and a baby, so I don't imagine.
I think that if she had money, she'd be living somewhere else. She wouldn't be living over a pub. I don't know. Anyway, this is when we get the introduction of the purple brick sign, which I'm sure we can talk a bit more about in a minute. Above the Rovers, Sean and Emma have seen it. Jenny invites them in to explain and says, look, don't worry about it, your jobs are safe, whoever buys this place, I'll give him, my highest recommendation, you'll be okay, and Jen will be alright as well. Daisy reckons that maybe Jenny's next move should be investing in double glammy. Jenny's not so sure about this. She's trying to put a brave face on things and everything, but she's kind of sad because she talks about how she's going to miss this place and everything. I think it's starting to look like I think she will stay. She's got too much Jenny. I think she's showing. I'm kind of picking up hints and she's saying, "I'm going to miss this place. It's going to be so sad when I'm gone," and it feels like it's kind of they're wanting to pull the rug out from underneath us and have Jenny remain as the landlady after all this.
So somebody else could buy it and just keep her in there, really.
Yeah, Ronnie. That's what I think is going to happen now. Friday, there's basically a classic viewing plot where somebody comes with the intention of buying the Rovers, and then the present incumbent puts them off by doing X, Y, and
fart.
Z. We've had this. We had it with. I remember Percy Sugden was trying to put somebody off buying number 3 when Emily wanted to sell it back in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's been done many times before, and Daisy's choice of weapon this time was what was it? Gone off prawns that she hooked out of the bin and stuck them under the table in the lounge, and it does the trick because the delightfully Welsh prospective buyer that comes along has got no intention of staying there if the place stinks. Because I think Daisy tells them that at first she says, "Oh, it's Gemma and the quads and their pooey nappies." Then she says, "Oh, it's just the punters. They come in, they all stink here." And then she says, "There's it's coming out the sinkhole because there's a collapsed sewer there."
Yeah.
And he sods right off. By the end of the episode, Daisy has admitted this to Jenny because she sees right through her. There's some furious air spray wafting around, and Jenny's like, "What are you up to?" And Daisy tells her, and then says, "Look, I think that me and you could pool our funds together, save up for a little bit, and maybe buy the Rovers together before anyone gets the chance." So this is kind of where we're left at the moment, with the possibility that maybe Daisy could become the new owner of the Rovers. I don't know what I want less, Daisy in charge or Ronnie.
It just seems really weird that whose name is over the thingy, the door?
It's Johnny, and it probably shouldn't be because we have had stories
Is
in
it
the past.
definitely Johnny?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. It always was Johnny, and I don't think that there's been any mention of actually we need to change this name to Jennifer Connor now.
Because she
Because he's been in prison.
he's been in prison, yeah.
Yeah, but and Jenny was carted off for the baby dangling incident, wasn't she?
I don't know.
And she wasn't arrested for the running over Liz with a trollop tracker.
We like an eccentric in charge of a pub in this country. In fact, if you get sectioned, you actually get to the top of the list, waiting list to be a landlord or landlady.
But yeah, I think that previous landlords and landladies in the past, was it? I think Vera's name went
We've had
above
discussions
the Rovers because Jack.
Because of
or something I can't
what's
remember.
It to do with having a criminal record,
or maybe it was the fact that Liz, I don't think Jack's been in prison. Maybe it was the fact that Liz had her name over the door because Steve had been in prison. I don't know, but I would have thought that unless they've relaxed the rules a little bit in the brewery trade, you're not allowed to have an ex-con running a pub now.
Heroin.
Maybe could be this is where the story's going, and it turns out that Johnny doesn't have the right to sell the pub because actually he's not officially the licensee anymore. I don't know.
Well, being the licensee and being the owner is a different thing. We've had this before with Coronation Street. Doesn't know the difference between
it's the old barrister and lawyer debate again.
Or selling the premises the company runs out of, which are two different things.
Yeah. So what do you think about this purple bricks now that we've seen it? We did a cabin extra on it about a month ago, didn't we? I don't mind. It's fine.
The only thing I wouldn't like to find out is that the story had been pitched by Purple Bricks. I don't have any reason to think that is what happened, but if I were to ever find out that a sponsor had that much of an input on the show's storylines, I would be very upset.
I don't think they've got the power for that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I work in a similar industry, entertainment industry. Somebody came to us and suggested something that kind of broadly fit in with something we wanted to achieve, we might do it. If Purple Bricks came to them and said, "Oh yeah, what do you think of this?" and they went, "Yeah, that's a good idea." I don't know.
But as for the appearance of the brand on the show, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't stick in my craw. I thought it would. Did
they go around saying, "Hello, Austin and Wyatt, here's an idea for a story. Do you want to pay for it?" That probably might have been a way to do it. And but then that still influences the sort of stories. Are we going to have another story where they're pitching an idea because they think they can get sponsorship for it? That's what I'm thinking of. It just feels like a story that's been sponsored, which is a bit. I don't think this has ever happened.
That doesn't sound good, having the sponsors running the direction of the show.
No, but you see what I'm saying.
Pick your stories based on how much money you can get from it.
Could we get? I don't know. I can't even think. Can we get Sony to sponsor David getting a PS5? or you know, oh, they won't, so let's get Microsoft to give them an Xbox, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, people complaining when stories are plot driven rather than character driven, but when they're sponsor driven,
Yeah,
I think everyone can agree that that's gone a little bit too far.
It really is interesting, and you know, how did it come about? Was that how it happened? I don't know. I don't want anyone to think that I have any kind of insider knowledge on this, because I really, really do not know how this happened.
They probably said it in the press release, we've just forgotten.
Probably. I think it is interesting because Purple Bricks is an unusual estate agency in that you would have to show people around your house. There's no estate agent that doesn't come to do a showing. So if anybody was watching the program today and thought to themselves,
where is the realtor?
Typical Coronation Street, always cutting corners. This is not how you sell a house. Actually, I think if you're Purple Bricks, you don't get somebody showing the person around. You do it yourself. So from that point of view, it kind of worked perfectly with the storyline. So when things work out like that, I get very suspicious.
Jenny was very naive, thinking that Daisy could be trusted to show someone round.
Of course.
I mean, good. But then again, maybe, you know, Jenny probably would have done the same thing, because she also doesn't want to sell, does she? It's in their interests to keep hold of the Rovers and put off potential buyers for as long as it takes for them to scrape the cash together, really.
If anyone's naive in this situation, it's Johnny, thinking that Jenny and Daisy are going to be like, of course, and here's the banquettes, and these like, of course, both of them. I wouldn't trust Jenny either.
No, he should be the one that's selling it, to start showing the buyers round.
Yeah, but he probably doesn't know where anything is.
Why? Because he's not been there. Could you tell me where the stopcock is? No, Welsh accent. No, I can't ask that in a Welsh accent. I did a really good one earlier as well.
Is it here?
Is it here? Is the stopcock here under the sink? Or is it here outside?
Oh, right, can you stop now, please?
Sorry, Welsh people.
Yeah, you should apologise.
I love Welsh accents. Gemma was, what are you doing? You putting some chips in the oven. No, what do we have for tea tonight? Spaghetti bolognese. You put the garlic bread in the oven earlier when he came in, and you were like, Michael, you like his accent, don't you? And he was like, I love his accent.
First time I saw the guy,
was one of my favourite accents.
I was like, it's Piers Morgan. It looks just like him, but someone who opened his mouth.
I think it was the Go Compare man.
Didn't sound like him at all.
Anyway, so
I loved the most expensive bonk in history. That was a funny line. I can't remember what the context of that was.
Well, that was just saying how much you could afford to lose by jumping into bed with Ronnie. I wonder.
I mean, if anyone's going to open their wallet, it should be Ronnie then, because, I mean, Jenny's not got the cash.
No. If we want Jenny to stay as landlady, are we agreeing on that one? That we don't want somebody to come over and take her place.
I know, right.
So if the only option for Jenny to stay as landlady was Ronnie to come in as landlord, would
you grudgingly accept?
It's a tough one. It really, really is.
I really want her to stay. I cannot see anybody else in the cast at the moment that I'd rather see as landlady than Jenny.
Well, we had a poll put on our Facebook group earlier today, and Sally and Tim got quite a few votes. I think they'd be quite good.
I couldn't stand it.
What, having Tim? That would have real potential to bring back some shades of Annie Walker, Lillian Spencer, wouldn't it? It would have to. But could I tell you something, fun.
Tim is no Jack.
He's
not. No Jack Walker.
No.
He needs to put on about 5 stone, and I don't think that Sally Carmen
I think that they would be quite good. And you know what? Sally's been in the show for a long time. I think she's earned it, which is another problem, I have to say, that I have with Ronnie and potentially Daisy getting the ownership of the Rovers. When the Prices moved in, or Price
I was
Monroe,
literally about to say this.
We had a discussion on the podcast about you have to earn being Rovers landlord and landlady. There have only been a few of them through history, increasingly frequent in recent years. But you can't just swan in and say, hello, I'm in charge of the Rovers, because the viewers don't know you and they won't accept you. And it just feels to me that this new guy, Ronnie, he hasn't done enough to earn the status of Rovers landlord yet.
I agree with you, but I'm not going to cry if it ends up that he owns the property, because, like I said before, having the owner of the Rovers return being a black guy, I think that would be pretty good. I think I like that idea.
I do, but as long as
And also,
Coronation
it would
Street just don't
integrate-
say, look at us, we have our first black landlord,
look-
aren't we great?
Yeah, but it would integrate the Baileys more into the street.
That would be good.
Like, can you imagine them all in the back room having a chat?
That would be nice to have them there. I think... It's
I
not so
understand you're
much-
saying, like, oh, you don't... Yeah, it's not...
I think he's got a good personality to be a landlord. He's
very-
a charmer
yeah,
and
exactly.
warm and welcoming.
But he could be the sleeping partner, like he suggested. Ooh,
I mean, maybe I wouldn't mind that, but it's not him being landlord that I've got a problem with. It's him getting together with Jenny, and that's what really gets my goat. He can be their landlord all he wants, especially his sleeping partner even better, as long as he and Jenny don't get together. And I just want her and Johnny to get back together. I hope that at least out of Fizz and Tyrone and Johnny and Jenny, can one of those couples get back together, please? Do you want... I'd love them both. But would you want them back together, or is Ty, burnt his bridges now?
I would not want... I said this before. I do not want Fizz to take him back.
Oh, but what about Johnny and Jenny? Do you want them to get back together? I'm just
so
desperate for both
confused.
of them to
the
reunite.
The thing is about it is that with Fizz and Tyrone, I feel like the betrayal is so deep, and he's messed Fizz up mentally so badly by rejecting her and making her feel bad about herself after she spent years of her life, as his girlfriend, supporting him.
They've all been messed up
Right.
mentally on that street with all the drama. Toy should be having a field day. She'd coin it in. Sorry, carry on.
Johnny and Jenny, I think they gave up so quickly.
They did.
I don't feel like I want to fight for them if they're going to give up so fast, because I feel a bit like the show's rewritten history a little bit here, because Jenny's saying, "Oh, this relationship's been terrible for years."
Well, it's just as what we were saying with Fizz and Tyrone, weren't we?
And saying, "Oh, I never forgave you for Liz." All right, if that's how you're going to play it, then don't get back together again. I'd rather that neither of them did.
Oh, but they were so good. Their wedding was so cute.
I know. It was good.
I-
Michael, I've said this to you before. Don't cry because it's over. Laugh because it happened.
I just don't want her to see
Remember
her on
those
Molly's
happy
arm.
memories
I
of
just
the
don't.
motorbikes and the hospital.
I know. I mean, I suppose if... Will Jenny get half the cash
This
of
is
the Rovers
the discussion
sale?
that's
She
been
could...
ongoing on our Facebook group, where people have been discussing who owns it. If it's in Johnny's name, is it his?
If she's married to him...
I genuinely don't understand how it works if it isn't just 50-50, because that's how I've been banking on this whole time. I'm going to get out of this with half of your stuff.
You don't want half my stuff.
I want all my stuff and half your stuff.
No, I don't want any of your stuff. It's all right.
That's great. But you know what I mean? I don't understand how it isn't just a given that it's 50-50. I don't think it really matters what he came into the relationship with.
It's not all about the money. It's about her broken heart, and that's you can't repair that. With
I know,
however
but she's
much
the
money
one that she cheated on him,
Yeah. Oh, why
But
did they do
and
this?
people are talking about, she looked after the Rovers when he was in prison, and what percentage of its success is down to her, and what is him. And I just don't think it's that difficult. I don't think it's that complicated, is it? I mean, this is why I can't be bothered to get divorced.
Too much hard work.
Yeah.
It's anything like buying a house.
Just forget it.
Let's just struggle on
Or just
through.
be like, who was it that just, Tim, just be married. Just forget that you were married. Just can't be bothered to get divorced. It's too much effort.
Right, let's move on to a happier relationship. Winter into Devindra. Gemma, what are you doing? Stroking you?
I had my jab.
Jabbed. Gemma is also fully jabbed up now.
really has.
Both of us, we are fully. Well, soon, Gemma. When you've had your 2 weeks.
And they didn't sign my bit of paper.
No,
I'm an
we've
illegal...
both had both of our jabs now.
Jabbed.
You can come and give us all the hugs you want.
No.
Right, Gemma,
Right.
back to you. Monday. So this is returning to Bernie being Evelyn's slave, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Which
'cause
took a break
Evelyn
last
hurt
week.
her leg. And
Well, she pretended to. She was hanging out at the washing, having a dance a couple of weeks ago, wasn't she? Which Bernie
I
found
think
out
this
about.
has been hammed up a bit too much, but
Just a tad.
I'm not going to criticise the great Maureen Lipman. I would dare not slag her off.
There was both ham and sausage in this storyline, and I'm not just talking about the sausage that Bernie had in her pocket.
Right, Monday. Bernie's back from walking Cerberus, and they're having the best of times, and they're best friends now, and Evelyn's a bit jealous.
That was the cutest thing. And
this would be
I'm
maddening.
a cat person, everybody knows, but Cerberus rolling around on his back, looking adoringly up at Bernie's face.
And Bernie's like letting him kiss her face and stuff. It's great. She goes to the shop later, and she's really smug because this is part of her plan. And she tells Dev, just you wait and see what I'm concocting. So she goes back out again with Cerberus, who's still quite standoffish to Evelyn. And as soon as Bernie's gone, Evelyn jumps up to try to win Cerberus back by playing with him. And Bernie opens the door.
That's the most sprightly we've ever seen Evelyn, I think. She was really dancing around the land. Come on, boy, come on.
Catches her, and, she has to give in and admit that it was all a sham. Bernie goes back to the shop, crowing about her triumph. She's been using the old sausage in the pocket trick. I don't know, she really, really had that covered with
layers
so
of cling
much
film.
cling film. It's like she was trying to kill the planet.
Does that actually work? If you have put a sausage in your pocket, dogs roll over
Dogs
for you.
would just want to sniff your pocket. I don't think it would. I don't think sausages make a dog fall in love with you. So
if we did, when we go and ever see a dog, when we move house, and you're like, Michael, we need to go and get a dog. You'll be smuggling sausages into all my pockets, won't you, for that?
Oh, look, he loves you. Right, so
sniffing me the sausage.
Let's stop now talking about sausages. So RD and Dev are there, and they're both
making sausages. Who gets that reference?
Nobody gets that reference. RD and Dev are very pleased that they've dodged a compensation claim off of Evelyn, and Bernie reckons that she's owed a drink, and she kind of won't take no for an answer from Dev. And when she goes, RD makes fun of Dev for being at Bernie's beck and call, and that's the beginning of a romance for the ages. On Wednesday, RD's winding Dev up, and Dev says, "I'm still Peng."
He did, doesn't he? Yeah.
It's the Pengis munch. Bernie says, "I'd go out with that. Me and your dad, it's the start of a beautiful thing." And Dev's smirking.
Because the way this starts is they're just winding people up, aren't they?
Well,
they're
they see
pretending.
that RD's getting wound up, so they deliberately do it to kind of freak him out.
RD again stealing the show in the few scenes that he's in this week.
As all great romances begin, it's all a joke to wind people up before it becomes serious. That's how Phil and Liz started going out.
Is it?
Not really. The date starts. Bernie regales him with her amusing anecdotes. Now, this is how Phil and Liz got together. He finds her very amusing, and he offers to go and get a bottle of wine and head home and gross RD out even more with all their flirting. But first of all, they go to the shop and gross Evelyn out. And Evelyn tells RD about it, and he goes home expecting to see them together, but she's not there. So he's talking to Dev with his back to the door, and Bernie sneaks out. And first of all, I thought this was a joke, and that Bernie wanted him to know that he was there so that he would turn around and think they'd slept together, but actually they had slept together, and she really was trying to sneak out without him knowing. So yeah, I'm lost by my spaces.
Bernie's in the pub later.
She tells Gemma that Dev's all right, really, and Dev walks in and sort of walks out down around the back, and he has a go at Bernie and says, "Oh, you're telling everybody what we got up to in the sack. This was a mistake. There's not going to be a round two." And they both get mad at each other. Bernie tells Gemma, I think, that he's an arrogant pig. That she insults his manhood and performance.
Yeah, apparently
times.
He was not so good. The Devster has lost it.
She goes, "I was only being polite." Like, oh god. So she goes around to tell him what she thinks of him. Storms around to Dev's house, had a go about how rubbish he was in the sack, and then ends up
seeing if he's any better the second time.
Yeah, just the repeat performance, I guess. She wanted a matinee, whatever.
Yeah, because there's another scene later, isn't there, where she's sneaking down that way. Because Ardy comes home and Dev's like, "Let's go into the kitchen, Ardy," so Bernie can sneak out. Whenever I see that, it just reminds me of Roy sneaking out when he was bedded by Tracy.
He wasn't. It was all a joke. Bernie finds... Ardy finds a dishevelled Bernie coming out of the kitchen.
This is today, wasn't this? This is Friday.
Sorry, Friday. Wearing Dev's shirt and with breakfast. And she's like, "Oh, it's not what it looks like."
She looked quite cool with her hair down.
They've tried to pretend they were doing the kebab shop rota, and Dev says, "As hard as I try, I can't satisfy all my staff."
That's like all my stuff. So yeah, not going to be moving on to Kathy next.
Later, RD tells a disgusted Usher and shocked Mary about this. Mary gets mad about this and has a go.
I love her scowl that she did before she went stropping over
really
to
funny
Bernie later.
She confronts Bernie in the street about sleeping with Dev, and Steve's watching, just loving it with his mouth open. And what does Mary say? I couldn't bear you to upset those twins. Or something.
She says, my only concern here is about the welfare of Dev and those twins. And Bernie says, he was quite taken by my twins last night.
How bawdy.
What would Ina Sharples say?
Oh gosh, she would. Her teeth would fly out. She goes.
What?
Shock. Bernie's like goes home whistling "Sex Bomb" to herself, and Gemma can tell she's smitten. Mary and Bernie decide to bury the hatchet because she realises that. Well, Bernie kind of tells her that she's not going to mess him around, basically.
Yeah, but it appears that Bernie is
quite sweet on him.
Yeah,
but
taken.
Mary goes into the pub and overhears Dev telling Steve, "Oh yeah, I'm only like playing around with her. Like I don't even care. Like I've kissed her so many times and she still hasn't turned into a princess," which is quite funny and evil. And Mary's just really aghast and can't believe a man would be so
tell
crass
Bernie, but we don't
as
see
to
it.
boast to his best friend about his bedding.
Do you think that Dev was kind of really meant that, or was he just?
I think he was showing off in front of Steve.
Yeah,
and I also think like.
But Steve would be like, "What? But Bernie Winter, what are you like?"
Well, yeah, exactly. Because she's not. She's a rather crass lady.
Yes.
So I think, yeah, I just think that Dev was just trying to. He's just being a. Dev is an arse, isn't he? That's the whole point of his character. He's a clumsy oaf, and Steve is also no better. I don't know what he's complaining about.
Dev, when he came, well, ever since his arrival in the show, he's been a bit of a Lothario, hasn't he? He, even more so back, 20 odd years ago, or whatever, when he first started, and he could have any woman he wanted at the click of his fingers. And I think he still thinks that he's that same man he was.
He's got his mojo.
When he was in his 30s, and actually
he's had to put it on the back shelf for raising a family, and now he's ready to rumble.
He has, and I think he's going to find out that settling for Bernie is better than nothing.
What about?
And Bernie's lovely. I'm really.
I thought they were really sweet.
I thought this whole thing was sweet, and when I saw a preview picture or something of these two together, and then the headline at bed, you'll never guess who Dev's new girlfriend is, or something like that. I was like, really?
Headline?
I'm making it up. That's why I'm not in headlines. I just do storyline.
You just do puns. Yeah.
I thought, what? Dev and Bernie? Why that? That's a random coupling, is it? What's the point of that? I thought that couples were supposed to get together based on, maybe they've got something in common. But I think it was Ardy maybe that pointed out in the episode, Bernie is in no way Dev's type, is she? He always prefers to go for the much more glamorous lady. And Bernie is rough as, but actually I'm growing to like her more. It's taken me a very long time. I think that I read a bit of an interview with Jane Hazelgrove earlier today, actually, saying that she's definitely had the roughest edges shaved off her a little bit since she first arrived on the show, and she's not quite as. She was just a bit more of a deadbeat mum when she came in, wasn't she? And all doing all that hippie
she's also,
stuff.
Yeah, she was a weird because a lot of we don't really normally have a spiritual.
Yeah, that's kind of gone from her now.
Yeah,
she was a bit like can't be trusted.
Very in it for herself, kind of a selfish opportunist. But she's not really so much, and she definitely has a heart of gold. And all the cliches you want to say about Corrie women, she's
getting closer, to be honest, to be like how Beth was before she turned into a massive cowbag.
Yeah,
I think so.
Beth used to be quite a sweet.
Yeah, she
sweet
did.
Mum.
She really, really was. So yeah, I didn't think it'd work because she's not the sort of person. Why would this ever happen? But the circumstances that led to them getting together, though maybe not completely realistic, was quite funny, and that was almost enough for me to go, yeah, whatever, let's Let's put
Are
them
you saying
together.
that you're so shallow that you can't see the innate worth of Bernie Winters
Well, I don't think...
and
I
her
think
beautiful soul?
She has got a beautiful soul. And, yeah, like I said, I think that Dev needs to... It's so bad. I don't mean I'd say Dev's got to lower his standards or anything like that, but I think that he could... I think they could make something work there.
She's got she's an attractive woman.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that she's still
Just
not
because
his
she
normal
walks
type.
around and burps and eats kebabs out of the paper. She's got a hideous child for a daughter.
But I mean, the thing is, are we going to even get a chance to see them as a couple? Because Mary's going to go off telling Bernie. She's going to be upset. I
She'll tell him
assume
where
that
to
he'll
stick
just say,
it.
"Hey, Bernie, I
was just
a bit
messing
of banter
around."
with the Steve. You know how this man."
You know he's so shallow.
But I
Right, we done?
do you think that they could be a relatively long-lasting couple? And by Corrie terms, that means,
Yeah.
6 months, maybe.
Will they make it
Will
to
it
Christmas?
last? Maybe.
I would like it. I really like it. I think it's quite fun. I think it would be sort of hilarious to see Ardy and Asha be so snobby, because if she was like their stepmom, even though obviously she would never even consider to put herself in that position, but just to imagine them coming home from their little school and their little prissy school uniforms on, and Ardy with his little quiff, and they come home and there's Bernie on the sofa drinking a beer with her arms slung around Dev watching Zambezi.
I want them to be invited round number
Winters,
5.
yeah. She could say, here Dev, now we're going out, we're sort of family, aren't we? You would agree with that, wouldn't you? Well, can you not get the kids to come and watch the quads for me, because I've got to go out somewhere? And then you just imagine Asha and Ardy standing over these 4 cribs. I don't know how these children, are they not at school by now? I haven't seen them for years. Just trying to babysit 4 children at once, I think that would be really funny, because I do think that of all the children on Coronation Street, Ardy and Asha are actually the most sheltered and spoiled.
Definitely. Well, maybe Kelly, you could say as well.
Kelly's in
spoiled
prison.
yet also neglected. Poor Kelly.
So sad. What the worst of both worlds.
Speaking of that story, and I am wondering what's going on with Kelly at the moment, because Corey's been charged with murder and GBH at the beginning of Monday's episode. So does that mean that Kelly gets let off? She hasn't come back home yet.
No.
But I mean, as we saw from the Faye and Gary storyline early this year, they're a bit slow to kick people out of prison if somebody else is charged with it.
I just think that just because he was involved doesn't mean that she wasn't.
No.
And they can't really prove who did it, so they have to have a trial.
I think this week could have maybe benefited from a bit of Imran and Toya commenting on the fact that Corey has been charged with murder and GBH, but
never mind.
Oh well, maybe next week they'll be in it.
This really had shades of... Oh no, you're going to get to it and I'll mention it.
Yeah, so Abby's found out that he's been charged, and she's still wondering whether she should have just let him die at the bottom of the stairs there. And Kevin says, "Look, justice has been done."
What do you think?
No.
Yeah, let him die on the stairs.
I'm always I'm not like... I always want the characters that I like to take the moral high
really?
ground. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They disappoint me time and time again. So Abby and Nina are off to court anyway to see the hearing, Corey's hearing. And apparently the police haven't said anything about this pushing down the stairs incident. So Nina thanks Asha for going through with her insane plan to seduce Corey, because it's all turned out okay. And so they're in that courtroom that was built for the Yasmin case. That I can't wait for them to be able to go back to a normal big grand wooden courtroom. They're brilliant, aren't they, whenever they show up on Corrie? But I wonder whether they will think that they'll need to go back to it again. That's the thing with all this lockdown filming. Are they going to, when they're allowed to have more location shoots, go, "Nah, we're all right, actually. We don't need to go to another court. We don't need, it'd be a shame." Anyway, so they're at court. Corey comes hobbling in on crutches just to try and get a bit of sympathy from the judge. Abby and Nina are rolling their eyes at it. And then his lawyer paints this picture about what a respectable, promising young upcoming footballer Corey is. He doesn't pose a flight risk in the least, and he's got this bright future ahead of him. Please, can you give him bail? Please, please, please. And the judge is like, "Yeah, fair dues. You're on. He can go home and he can wear a tag." So Abby is very despondent later at the end of the episode in Speed Dial. Nina is there as well with her. They're all just moping about the fact that he's not had the book thrown at him completely. So
well, this is what I was going to say. I mentioned this before, I think, a couple of weeks ago or whatever about the way that the court treats people differently. It's to do with how good your lawyer is, or solicitor, whatever you want to call them.
And Imran's rubbish. That's why Kelly ended up being
It's to do
sent
with
down.
how much money you've got. Can you listen?
Yeah, I know.
So Corey has got a good lawyer, but also this lawyer is saying Corey is sort of without really coming out and saying it, respectable and promising basically just means he's a privileged child and he comes from a privileged upbringing, and so it's obvious that the different ways that Corey and Kelly have been treated, even though Coronation Street has made a massive mistake here, choosing Kelly as the poster child for disadvantaged youth. She's not that person. You can't shoehorn her into that role, but they're trying to. So it's a shame that the contrast is not more obvious between these two characters, because actually they're both spoiled rich brats.
Yeah.
But Corey, he's got the money, so he is buying justice here. And there have been very many high profile cases in America that have scandalised the world, really, over the past few years. Like, there was an affluenza case where the judge was basically saying, well, it's not his fault, he's got no morals because he's been raised to be rich, basically. So this is what this felt like to me, and it was really interesting because I don't know much about the British justice system or how it works and what it's like if you don't have any money. We kind of have this idealised view sometimes, I think, in this country of, you know, everything's a bit more pure and less corrupted by money than it is in America, and I don't really think that that's necessarily true. So if Coronation Street is going down that route of examining the justice system from two different angles, that'd be interesting. But really we need to hear it from Imran. Like, it'd be great if Imran said something about it, you know, like something along the lines to Toya, because it's not necessarily that he's a better or worse lawyer than the other guy, but he could say something like, we just don't have the resources. I don't have it. Like, she hasn't got any money. We can't pay for an assistant for me to do the research. It's not just me. It has to be a team of people. And there's no money.
If only she knew the date that Weatherfield County were founded, because her dad's got a whole lockup full of cash just waiting to be taken, hasn't they? Anyway, Nina and Abby and Ash are all kind of united in disappointment by the end of the episode, and Nina from this point onward just spirals downhill. There's a little couple of scenes on Wednesday's episode where Nina and Asha meet up at speed dial, and Nina's saying how guilty she feels. She tries to take it out of her mind, but she just can't. She thinks, hey, if only things had gone differently, if only I hadn't, gone out with Seb, if we hadn't gone out that night.
Of course, this would be the only thing you could think of. Yeah,
she says she just wants to disappear. So yeah, but then that carries on Friday when she turns to the demon drink. Billy at first though goes over to see Roy in the cafe and says, "Look, Summer's really struggling with all this at the moment. I know she wasn't there at the time, but I don't. What's her problem? The fact that she could have." She should have
sensitive.
She could have got them to come home with her earlier.
She was
something.
saying, she basically says later, if only I had got Kelly to come with us, when I left.
Yeah.
Or like if I had stayed, maybe something would have been different. She's just doing the same thing as
the what ifs really. So Roy is convinced by Billy to bring Summer round so that maybe Nina can have a word with her and tell her it's not so bad. Roy has to get Nina's permission for this first, and she's doing her sketching, isn't she? And she clearly doesn't want to. She's not in the right headspace for offering sympathy to Summer, but she's like, yeah, go on then, whatever. So Summer comes round later, but Summer and Billy come round. Summer starts opening up to Nina about how guilty she feels as well, and Nina's just like, sorry, I can't be doing with this now. I lost everything on that night. My actual boyfriend was kicked to death. What did you lose?
Yeah,
nothing. She basically is a hanger-on in the group anyway, isn't she? She
I know,
didn't even know
it's not even your friends.
It's not my job, says Nina, to make you feel any better. Sorry, I'm going.
Yeah, I thought this was great.
Yeah, and then she goes round to the shop to get a bottle of vodka, and I like the random scene of Dev playing golf in the middle of the shop.
Yeah.
Like, It makes it's like, is this one of these times where the episode underrun by about 20 seconds and how long do we put in? Let's just
Ad-lib golf.
Just Dev. Just give Dev a
We
golf
know
club.
that Dev loves golf.
Give Dev a golf club, see what he comes up with. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, he's a little
won't sell it to her.
concerned. He doesn't want to sell it to her. He's a little concerned that she might be self-medicating
comforting, yeah,
with
that's
vodka. And she's like, well, it has nothing to do with you. I'm not an alkie like Peter. I'll take this if I want to. So she goes and...
She gets it from somewhere. I don't know if he sells it to her.
I can't remember.
She ends up with the bottle.
She ends up with a bottle, and she goes round to Summers later to say sorry because I think before she started drinking...
Roy tells her. Yeah, Roy's
her.
like, I'm sorry. And she says, no, it's my fault. I shouldn't have been such a cow. I'll go and apologise.
Yeah. So she goes round to go and see Summer, and by this point she is clearly 3 sheets to the wind. Asher also comes over, and Summer's like, she just wants to prepare for her assessment that she's got tomorrow. I've got a test tomorrow. Sorry, I can't be doing with this now. And Asher comes around, and Summer's like, what do I do? I've never seen a drunk person before.
I assume Asher's come over to do revision as well or something.
Yeah,
why
they're
was
in
she
a
there?
geek out party.
Because Summer was saying, oh, you can't be here, I've got to revise. Nina's just getting more and more drunk and
she's
going
getting
through...
plastered. Well, she needs a plaster
Yeah.
later because she nearly chops her finger off, didn't she? I don't know, was she chopping like lemons or something maybe?
Well, I don't know why she didn't make herself a delicious vodka ice cream milkshake, because she had a tub of ice cream she got out of the freezer. That would have been delicious.
Yeah. So anyway, Nina ends up getting fed up by being surrounded
boring.
by these pair of losers. So she
said,
wraps her hand up with a bit of kitchen roll and then heads off out into the street.
I was watching this and I said to you, oh gosh, Asher and Summer are such a pair of squares, aren't they? And then Nina went, see you later, losers. I was like, yeah, Nina, get out. You're too cool for that situation.
And then we later see her in Villain's Alley, isn't she? She's swigging out of a bottle down by the dumpster there.
Billy goes and sees Roy and says, look, I'm really sorry that this was a stupid idea. How awkward. And then we see Nina slinking down into Villain's Alley with a bottle of Bordeaux in her hand, and she sort of like slumps onto a sheet of cardboard and just starts swigging away. And I cannot believe it's taken her this long to properly be a goth. She's not dressed like one anymore, but certainly this is the most hardcore goth thing she's ever done, getting drunk in an alley on a bit of cardboard. Is that what
goths are known for?
Yes, that's a goth thing to do. Or is it emo? I don't know.
I don't know what the difference is. Poor
Listen,
Nina.
if you were to imagine what is like, I am making a joke here. I understand this is not what goths are about. But if you were to like say what's the stereotype of a goth, slumped in a gutter drinking red wine, crying over your dead boyfriend, versus giving out helpful spoons in a cafe that help you meet new friends and socialise. Which one? Which one?
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I think that Molly's still doing a bang up job with this performance, isn't she? And I'm also starting to get used to
Summer.
No, gosh, no, not Summer.
Right, okay.
I'm starting to get used to makeupless Nina.
She's not wearing makeup. There's a lot of makeup, including fake bruises that are going slightly green.
They are going. They're turning
Very
at the moment,
good,
aren't they? Yeah.
When she was sitting in the...
I really want... I'm still getting a bit creeped out. I wanted to go back to being Goth Nina again. I think she will.
She is Goth Nina.
On the outside.
She just needs fingerless gloves now.
On the outside. She needs to be whited up a bit and get the... get all the...
eyeliner.
And the skull apron and everything on again. It'll happen.
Yes.
But what do you reckon about where this is going, about her just grieving poorly?
This is totally understandable. She says at one point, my mum's dead, my dad's dead, my boyfriend's dead. You know, what the hell? How is she supposed to react? Nobody's helping her. I haven't seen anybody, like, where's Toya? Where's the counselling?
Roy's trying, but I think he's a bit out of his depth with this, isn't he?
Okay, I will say this. Coronation Street has often dispensed a kind of very worthy but somewhat twee worldly wisdom from Roy. Like, he always says something and it's always right, but it's always a bit twee, isn't it? It's always a bit, you know, what would you imagine the best advice from a wise person would be? And Roy will usually say it, and it's always quite helpful. But there's nothing you can say to this girl who nearly died herself because of what she was wearing, and now has no one, like all the specialist people in her life are dead. And what can you say? There's no bit of like sage advice or wisdom that you can give her. And I kind of like the fact that Roy can't sort of philosophize his way.
Yeah, I like what he was saying about Hayley, and how he said that I thought that was the worst pain I could have ever imagined, but at least, I had time to prepare, I know it was coming and everything, and she wasn't kicked to death.
There's
in an alley.
literally nothing you can say to Nina to help her. This is like one of the worst. She's had the worst time.
Well,
of many,
I think
in recent years. She's thinking about how badly characters have suffered. This is one of the bad ones.
It just goes
and
to
she's
say,
so young.
Goes to show the caliber of her personality, that she hasn't completely and utterly dissolved
I guess so,
into pieces.
But at the same time, isn't it aren't we? I just feel bad for people that have emotional maturity and can cope with things, and then they get stuff chucked at them, and then it's like, well, at least you've got the coping mechanisms or whatever. Like, it's not fair. I'm just really frustrated for her.
I think she needs to chat with Daniel, because he became a bit of a boozer after Sinead died, didn't he?
I don't think it's an
right?
unusual thing to do, but everybody knows this, but it doesn't help.
She just needs to hire a male prostitute and get him to dress up as Seb. Sorted.
I just thought, I told you to write down emotional labour, and I really got mad about this, because I thought Roy and Billy were being absolute cowards and really presumptuous and unfair on Nina to expect her to do the emotional labour that they couldn't be bothered to do to make Summer feel better about the small part that she played in what happened with Nina's boyfriend being murdered.
I would have liked to have maybe seen a bit more of Billy trying to console Summer and
really
failing.
It felt
or Paul or Todd or anybody.
He's a vicar. His job is to console people.
He did say that, but I think it can be different when it's somebody that close to home.
Because it's not Nina's job, and she was completely right. I got so mad when these two grown men were asking this poor broken girl who has gone through hell and back to go and console Summer, who honestly, what an self-indulgent brat she was being. I feel bad for her too, but it's not Nina's job.
No,
and the way that Billy brought Summer around, like, here you go, you're both girls, you're both sad about the same thing. You're older, Nina. Why don't you make her feel better? It's not her. She can't give Summer permission to stop feeling bad about this.
I think both Roy and Billy both naturally want to help people and make them feel better, so maybe they assume that other people also want that.
You're being very charitable. I just saw two men asking a woman to do emotional labour for them in a really inappropriate way that was totally unfair, and no wonder Nina kind of broke.
It's also maybe because Nina has been seen as quite wise before, like when Asher was going through the mill with all the Corey situation a couple of months ago, and Nina did a really good job of giving sage advice, and maybe they.
So what? Just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you always should be asked to do it for somebody else.
What do you think will?
And I do feel sorry for Summer, but at the same time, yet again, she was a bit pathetic. And then when Nina came up, what did she do? She basically told her to get out because she had to study. And Nina was saying, I just was totally on Nina's side this whole episode. She was saying, oh, now you want me to leave. Earlier you wanted to talk to me because you wanted me to make you feel better, and now I'm here. You will make me feel better, but you won't because you got to revise for your precious exam. Why was Summer so keen to be absolved of her crimes by Nina? Is it because she's like, look, Nina, I need you to just forgive me because I can't concentrate on calculus. Get lost, Summer. Nobody cares about your stupid exam.
Did she really want it, or did she was Summer only there because Billy took her around?
What is Billy's problem? Sort your own daughter out, for God's sake. Drew didn't go, right, I'll leave you my daughter because I'm going to die horribly. Just, I don't know, if you ever get any problems, I'm sure there's a stray waif of a girl that you can ask. He asked Billy to adopt Summer because he knew that he was emotionally mature and sensible. Then he ended up being a drug addict.
He's very busy archdeaconing, Gemma. You don't understand.
There's the pews. I've got to sell the pews. Nina, can you help me? Can you help? Summer's so sad. Can you please give her an ice cream?
Right.
For God's sake.
Is it my turn to do the story now? I think it is, isn't it? The Peter story, which was mostly concentrated on Monday. And this taken a quick turn. Every time that a new liver becomes available, I'm always caught off guard.
I know, but this is
like, is today's episode going to be
I think it's pretty true to life, though, isn't it? It sort of comes completely out of...
Yeah, but in true life, they don't put spoilers about it in social media a week before. I just happened to miss both of them at the time this happened to Peter. Anyway, so Adam has made this decision that he's not going to do the liver tests, and Peter's still being pretty cool about it, because after all, he didn't really want Daniel or Adam putting themselves out for him at the beginning anyway. Plus, I've always got Carla to look after me, so I'll be fine. Adam admits to Sarah Lou that he's not looking forward to telling Daniel that he's pulled out of this liver test.
Well, you're right, because they agreed to do it together.
Yeah, and then we have a couple more scenes today of Carla. Or on Monday, of Carla giving Sarah the silent treatment and carrying on after that massive bust up that they had last Friday.
You can understand that both
She's
of
being
their
very
perspectives.
petty about it.
This is the sort of writing that I really like on Coronation Street, where you can understand both sides of the...
Well, yeah, Carla's saying he needs a new liver, and if he doesn't get one, he's going to die. There is a liver there, possibly, in your husband.
And until you got involved, he said he would give it to us.
I think Carla was going too far. I know that it's bad if Adam has offered and then has pulled out on it. But Carla...
How would you feel if I was dying I needed...
What? There's another condition. Sorry, let me carry on.
And Matt said, I'll give you my liver. And then he went, nah.
I know, I'd feel really, really bad, but I don't...
Oh, you wouldn't care?
Of course I would.
You feel really bad, but on the other hand...
Of course I would,
am insured.
I think that I would be thinking... He's got every right to do it, and it really is annoying, and I
understand. This is what I'm trying to say, though. This is the thing. They're both right, because if Matt needed the liver, I'd say, don't give him your liver, Michael.
Yeah, exactly.
You might need it yourself.
Anyway, so Carla's being pretty petty towards Sarah, really. Daniel catches up with Peter in the shop later, and he says, I'm not compatible, I've had the test, sorry, you can't have me liver.
Well, you can, but it won't be of no use to you.
Yeah, and Peter says, never mind, still got Adam, haven't I? Oh no, sorry, he hasn't. Adam, he knows about Adam at that point, so he now knows that he's not got anybody.
I think Daniel says something like, never mind.
That's right. Daniel, you're right. Daniel, the one that says, it's
always Adam.
There's always Adam, and Peter says, no, actually, there's not. So as Daniel goes striding off to Adam and saying, how dare you pull out? I went through this, and you said you would as well. Adam says, I need to consider Sarah, and Daniel calls him a coward and says, I'm incompatible now, and so it was only going to be down to you. There's no other liver donors anywhere. In the northwest, in England, in the planet.
Ring,
nobody at all. Yeah, meanwhile, somebody is getting beep on the operating table, and a liver is being freed up.
Deliveroo.
Yeah, that's what it is. Don't deliver to Weatherfield, though. What are we going to do?
Oh, the ring road's backed up.
Deliveroo. So anyway, Carla gets a call saying that there is a liver ready and waiting to be plopped into... Peter's abdomen. In
the apocalyptic wasteland that is the future, there probably will be an organ delivery service, and it probably will be called Deliveroo, because they might have branched out by then.
Maybe.
And the jingle would be something like, and we do kidneys as well.
Deliveroo, deliver-do-roo, we do hearts and kidneys too. Something like that. I don't know. Are advertising jingles going to be back in the future?
Yeah, they'll be retro.
I'm in for that.
And we'll have those rosy robots like in the Jetsons.
Yeah. Anyway, where's Peter, Carla's saying? He happens to have disappeared just when we need him.
Just when the liver turns up.
They go out for a hunt, and then they find him.
Oh, good.
Yeah, basically.
It wasn't that far away.
It wasn't that far away. It was just a little
He's
bit
in
of
the
mini
Rovers,
drama
wasn't he?
for midway through the episode.
Oh, no, he wasn't.
No, he's at the bistro. That wasn't a very exciting hunt. But yeah, they go to the hospital, and he has a bit of a teary, dewy-eyed moment with Carla where they're talking about, we can go to Barcelona when I'm back on my feet again. I'm sure that the Carla and Peter fans were loving this. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't mind Carla and Peter together. They just don't, they don't excite me. And I think that the romantic stuff between them as well doesn't make me go, oh, yes. I suppose, yeah, because we've just seen it all before. But anyway, I'm happy for him. He's got a liver. Adam and Daniel have got to wait 8 hours to find out whether the opera's a success, and all Daniel's got to do to pass the time is to correct the grammar on the signs in the hospital, which was my moment of the week. I don't think I can make Daniel my character of the week just for correcting the grammar on that sign, but by God, he's close.
Whoever donated the liver's surely the character of the week.
Yeah, the Deliveroo man, yeah. That's about it, really. That he's fine, by the way. So is this the end of the story? I don't know, but it seems like there is some lingering resentment from Sarah to Carla because of everything that happened. Did she tell Carla that she didn't want her working in the factory anymore?
How can Sarah get offended that Carla got her nose put out of joint, that Sarah tried to kill her boyfriend?
I know.
Husband.
Anyway, so that was all right. I'm kind of glad that the story didn't carry on after Monday. I'm sure there's still more to come. I wasn't that invested in it. But like I said, it was nice to have the little surprise liver delivery because I wasn't expecting it. And yet again, I mean, as much as I'm not particularly that excited by their relationship, I do think that both Ali and Chris have been doing a very good job throughout this story. And fair play to Chris Gascoigne for being such a method actor as well, didn't you?
Oh yes,
there was an article, wasn't he, about how he's slimmed down safely. He's
lost a lot of
consultation
weight
with a doctor about how he can make this story look real.
Yeah,
and
he's definitely been looking very gaunt.
He has been looking super gaunt, but he's been yellow in the face, and his eyes have been a bit orange, like when they drip a little bit of orange eye liquid when you go to get your contact lenses tested. He's done a good job.
Colson Smith spends the whole year and a half running, losing weight, having a life coach, going to the gym. Chris Gascoigne, hold my beer.
Yeah, basically.
I'm going to drop the pounds.
Yeah.
Like what's his face? Who plays Batman? What's the guy?
Oh, that's me, Adam West.
famous method actor Adam West.
The famously thin and buff Adam West Batman.
I've forgotten who it is.
I think he's been great.
Christian Bale,
but
of course.
It feels like a lot to go through for a story that hasn't particularly grabbed my attention that much. It doesn't feel like it's the big story of the year, does it?
I don't know how much. I don't know.
This year's big stories really are drugs and Fizz and Tyrone splitting up. I think, and Seb obviously, and this Peter getting a liver in any other year probably could be a big one, but this year it's been B, C tier material.
I don't know. I don't know whether it's just because we really don't have a massive...
No, I don't think it is.
I haven't heard lots of people talking about it online unless they are specifically Peter and Carla fans.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But there are enough of those to sort of,
It may have been the moment. It was like Peter frothing at the mouth on the kitchen floor. Was that this year? I'm losing track of it. He's been doing that on and off for the past 10 years, hasn't he? Still Ken, very notable in his absence. He's still with his dying teacher friend in Southampton, doing cartwheels in Southampton this week, we found out, didn't we, when he heard the news that Peter's got his liver.
Well, it's a lovely place to be,
isn't it? Once you come to Southampton, you don't want to leave. No. He's come round our house for tea at the weekend.
Yeah, can't get rid of him.
That correcting your to your thing was hilarious, I thought, but that we have had some people saying that they didn't find it funny, the correcting the grammar, which I totally get.
No matter what you think of whether it was funny or not, it still was such a Daniel thing to do.
It was really, really a Daniel thing to do. But
and he was also trying to distract himself,
Yeah.
But it was funny. I think it wasn't so much that he was correcting grammar to me, it was just the kind of juxtapositioning of the dire straits that he was waiting literally to hear the news about life or death, and he's there with his pen going.
I think if you're the sort of person that really, really gets irked by a rogue apostrophe, then
It didn't have a rogue apostrophe.
No, that didn't have a rogue apostrophe. Actually, that had a missing apostrophe, didn't it? And a missing E. You just can't help yourself sometimes, and you know it's petty, and you know it's like a bit snobby and everything. You just can't help it. It's bad. And both of our jobs involve correcting grammar, don't they?
Yes.
And I blame my mum for this one. She used to do it as well, didn't she? She used to find signs and complain about the grammar on them, or get a bit of chalk and put an apostrophe in somewhere.
I don't
can't
have
help
the same.
it.
As long as
I
you
totally
can,
get that.
as long as you can make yourself understood, I think people get too het up about grammar.
Yeah, when you're off the clock, you don't care at all, do you?
What do you mean? I don't just because I don't use full stops when I text. I don't use full stops because I think it looks too severe. But this is what I mean. You can be, but I don't mind using a bit of creativity to portray an emotion, or it's not correct grammar to use all caps, for example, to emphasise a word.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to argue with somebody about Oxford commas. I always use an Oxford comma. But I think people that use grammar as a weapon to make other people feel stupid, or to make themselves feel clever, I think that's a bit silly. I think
when I don't often actually get my pen out and correct grammar on the signs, but sometimes I might rob an apostrophe off a blackboard or something, and I don't do it to make people feel bad. I do it to make myself feel better, because sometimes just the look of seeing something wrong there, it just gets right at me.
It's fine. Often the way you react to something is more about you than it is the thing that you're reacting to. So people that get upset about other people correcting grammar, you might feel that people are trying to make you feel bad about yourself. It's not necessarily what is actually happening.
No.
And the older I get, the more I realise that the way you react to things is your own deal, not other people's deal.
Some people like to straighten pictures that are hanging askew. Yeah. Or, it's that kind of thing.
And some people do it to annoy you, and some people do it and it's nothing to do with you. Again,
yeah,
you're reacting to something in a completely different way. It's all just everybody's individual. Anyway, one thing I want to say about the storyline is it keeps reminding me of, I think I might have mentioned this before, but I just wanted to say this, about George Best. Do you remember George Best?
Yeah, well,
I know the name. Very famous
drunk footballer.
Northern Irish footballer. He also played for Man United.
I didn't know he was Northern Irish. I really had no idea about that.
Well, he was very Northern Irish. He was the greatest player never to have played at a World Cup. But he was a controversial figure.
I thought that was James Bailey. Not yet.
He was a very, very controversial figure because he was an alcoholic who was given a liver transplant. And it really, really feels to me, and I think this probably would resonate with people watching in Manchester in the north, because, like I said, he played for Manchester as well, Manchester United. And he just could not stop drinking. And there was a massive load of controversy because he was given a liver transplant, and he then carried on drinking.
And
it was what?
So, Peter very well may not be out of the woods yet.
Well, no, yeah,
and this is what Sarah was saying. And she said to
necessarily...
Carla, Peter's just going to... This is why I don't want Adam to give his liver up, because Peter is just going to drink himself to death with that one and take advantage of it.
I don't necessarily think this is the way Peter's storyline is going, but it is definitely very interesting to me to think about, the struggles that they both have had, and the fact that George Best, even though he was very much in the public eye, everybody knew that who he was, and the fact that he'd had a liver transplant and that he shouldn't be drinking. He still got served in pubs. He still was openly drinking alcohol out and about. He got in trouble for drink driving even after his liver transplant. And his wife, was saying, I can't stop him. I've been screaming, been throwing things at him. I literally cannot stop him. And at the end of the day, I just feel sorry for him because he won't stop drinking. And he died due to complications because of the drugs he was taking to stop his liver from being rejected. And the doctors were even saying, because I was reading an article about this earlier, the doctors were saying he'd had some kind of implant, and I don't know if this is common or if they don't do this anymore, to make him sick when he drinks. And I think you can take pills and things now I don't know if they did give you an implant, but the doctor was basically saying the liver transplant only solves the damage that your liver has incurred. It can't stop you from being an alcoholic. And this is the thing with Peter. He stopped drinking, but I don't think George Best ever really did. And he died, and there was a very famous picture in the News of the World of him, completely jaundiced in his hospital bed, saying, "Don't end up like me." I just thought it was interesting to bring it up because of the link with Manchester, and he was probably one of the most famous. I don't know if anyone else has ever struggled so publicly with alcoholism as he did. And also, the other thing about this guy, George Best, is that he was probably the most famous footballer, and he was probably one of the original celebrity footballers in this country. One of the first sort of wave of sort of being idolised as a celebrity because you're good at football. So it's such a massive figure, and to see him fall so spectacularly from grace and seemingly without his control, even though everybody would say, literally, you just have to stop doing one thing. So I just really think it's interesting, and I do wonder where they're going with this. Well,
if Peter does fall off the wagon again, then I think I would quite like him to have a quick death.
I don't think it's a nice quick death when you...
I mean, get drunk and then get hit by a car or something like that, because he's almost like he's hit the reset button now, hasn't he? And it says, oh, great, he's fine now, so we can have this story again in 2 or 3 years. And then have him say, one more drink and he'll be dead. And then it goes round and round and round in circles, isn't it? So, I'm not opposed to him drinking himself to death, because I think that would be a very, very powerful story to tell, and seeing it happen over the course of over a decade on Coronation Street. That would be an incredibly long-term story. I think Coronation Street would be, it might be unwise to lose Chris Gascoigne, because I think he's one of the best actors, male actors that they've got on the show.
And also such a legendary character.
Yeah, exactly, part of the Barlow clan. But and I think I read an interview with Chris, because I think he had an interview with him and his other half, Dr. Hospital. And he said,
in case you hadn't read the article, he is married to the actress who played Dr. Hospital, which is not her real name in the show. And they had a piece basically talking about his.
He said that he has. Did he say he's offered to, do a 2-year-long story on Coronation Street where Peter died?
I didn't read it too much.
No, that's not a spoiler that's going to happen. But he said he would be willing, should they ask it of him, to play that out. So,
but this is the thing. Do you do that story where this character dies of alcoholism to sort of show that this isn't just a fairy tale where everything's all right and the magic wand gets waved and you reset to the beginning? And
it has felt a bit like that, especially when Peter was told you could be waiting months and months and months and months and months, and 3, 4, 5 weeks later, here you go, here's a liver. Oh, you can't have it. Here's another one a couple of weeks later.
Or do you kill him and then sort of risk making people who are also going through the same thing, going, well, how can I do that? Because it's already hard. And then to watch somebody lose the battle, is that going to discourage people?
It's going to discourage people. It's going to be a wake-up call for other people.
Yeah, that's what I don't know.
Anyway, telesales and marketing, Gemma, we had a couple of scenes of that on Wednesday, didn't we? Little bit randomly filler.
Daisy signed Carol up. I thought she'd already done this.
I think that she was thinking of signing her up.
Sean's not happy about this. He walks in on them in the back room, and Carol says, I'm not going to steal your sales or anything. She's so naive, she doesn't get that he's reluctant because he knows this is a scam. She's really excited about this new leaf. This is awful, honestly. I wish he would just come out and say. Sean tries to get her out of it by saying, we haven't got any products to sell, blah, blah, blah. And Daisy has a go at him later and says, I'm just trying to help her out. You're a snob because you don't want Carol to sell the stuff because you don't want it to look bad. And he says, no, I don't want her to get into a mess like Gemma did. And she's like, nah, that's not going to happen. But really, you've written here, does Daisy really think this is legit? I don't know.
I can't tell. And am I missing something? Because she seems too smart to fall for this.
When she said, when she said to Sean, I'm just broadening her horizons, it's like she knew that it was a load of crap.
She's been like really interested in it from the start. Is it just the opportunity to con a load of other people and hope and make money, and she's taking a chance here, or does she actually think that this is a good deal she's on? I'm not really sure. I might have missed it, but
I just think Sean's really frustrating me here, really frustrating me, because
what, Sean frustrate the viewers?
He has seen Carol claw her way out of an impossible situation. And she was homeless and now she's not. And this could be the difference between her going back there again.
Yeah.
And why is he not opening his mouth and saying something and putting his foot down and saying, no, absolutely not. And saying to Carol, he doesn't even have to say it in front of Daisy if he's worried about that. Because the thing is about this is the trouble about these things. If Daisy is in his downline, he actually needs to keep her in business because he gets a cut of everything she sells. So he's recruited Daisy, and if Daisy recruits Carol, whatever Carol sells, Daisy gets a bit, but so does Sean.
Yeah.
So if he's scared of of wisening Daisy up to the fact that this is all a big scam, because then he knows he won't get a cut of her sales, he could still tell Carol quietly when nobody is around, listen, Carol, this is actually bad news.
I think Carol's a bit too much of a loudmouth, and she'd go around blabbing to everyone that it's a massive scam.
She probably would, actually, especially if she felt cheated by Sean.
Yeah.
Or misled.
I don't think that she's that close to Sean that she'd say, yeah, God, thanks for telling me.
But really, I can't really feel too bad if that happens, because the whole thing is so predatory. Why is he still doing it?
Why is the storyline still going? That's the main question. This has been 6 months that this storyline's been going on and off.
Who's making money out of this? Because I know
Ridian.
Daisy's making money out of this, but has Sean actually sold anything, or is he just still trying to get out of it? And what's happened to this car that he's leased? Is that still around?
Yeah.
It's just not parked anywhere. We can see it.
One episode appearance.
It's one of those special invisible paint jobs.
He's just raised the shields, hasn't he? Yeah, and the visibility cloak. So the quad stuff today was just basically Gemma and Ches doing an online BSL class, and we didn't get to see any of it, but we did see Gemma finding it difficult to connect.
I always think it's really sad that even though America and the United Kingdom share a common language of English, we do not share the same sign language systems. American Sign Language is different from British Sign Language.
And then that's it, really, isn't
it?
No,
they've got an appointment. There's an implant.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's an implant. Alad's possibly going to get a cochlear implant next week, and Gemma's fretting about whether he will be allowed to have one or not.
Yeah.
And I assume he will. I mean, we were complaining last year when they were throwing all these various woes at Gemma Chesney and the quads and saying they're just giving them problem after problem, and now they're trying to undo the problem by saying, let's make him not deaf anymore because he can have this cochlear implant, and obviously he'll still be deaf, but it won't be a problem to him. I don't know.
I would really like them to use this opportunity to explore deaf culture and talk more about that, because
it could be interesting. It's just maybe not going to be interesting for a little while. He's got to grow up to be big enough to make it an interesting story. It would be nice for
Gemma and Chesney to go and meet some deaf people.
Yeah.
And to talk, Frida, where's she? But many deaf people are fiercely protective of deaf culture, and some of them would even prefer to have a deaf child over a hearing child, because there is definitely a culture built around deafness that they've created themselves.
I don't know anything about it.
That is, it's not just it's not a disability to them. It's part of a culture and a way of being. And if you ever want, to read about something, look it up if you don't know about it. Just research into it, because it's really, really interesting. And the way that you can get dialects of different sign languages, and there are countries where they came together the people just themselves and created a whole language from scratch just together. And like there's different slang words for things in different areas that they invent. And people's, you know, some people, they create a nickname. It's a sign that is, instead of spelling your name out, you'll have your own sign for your name. I just think it's absolutely amazing.
One for the future.
Well,
10 years down the line.
Gemma and Chesney learn sign language, we will too learn along with them.
We'll do a sign podcast one week, shall we? Doing it now.
Yeah.
Right, what we're scoring this week. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fine week, and it had some, you know, the picture, the Bernie and Dev stuff, a
pretty sturdy
Nina
week on
was
Corrie.
good. I
Yep.
thought it was. I'm going to give this.
The main thing was there were no overhyped expectations.
No, that's the thing, and I mean, I'm going to give this. I think I'm going to give this the same as I gave last week, and I maybe felt a little bit more down on last week because it was BGT week. But I'm going to give this 3.5 Oscar-worthy fumbles in the sack with that snack. Dev,
Oh yeah,
this week.
Dev the snack Allahan.
What about you?
I guess I think it was a pretty good week. I might give it 3.5 subordinate clauses.
Oh yeah, that got mentioned, didn't it? Evelyn was talking about Hope going on about subordinate clauses this week. Thank you very much.
I'm so glad I don't have to know what that is.
Well, let me tell you. I'll tell you
Not
later.
interested.
Character of the week this week. I'm kind of think maybe Dev, maybe Nina, maybe I think they're my main ones this week.
It's nobody out of the Fizz and Tyrone story because they're all being horrible.
Well, Fizz maybe you could go for if you want to give another point for Team
Stick
Fizz.
it to the maniosis.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Dev this week just because I find him amusing.
I'm gonna-
Even though he was horrible and awful about Bernie at the end of the week.
That was just locker room talk.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give it to Nina because I really, really liked the way she flipped the tables on Billy and Roy, expecting her to be a good little girl and, you know, make Summer feel good about herself. I just really like the way that she's being self-destructive and rejecting everybody's expectations of her because she's coped so well with everything else that life has thrown at her. You can just see her reach the end of her tether here and say, well, what else now? What else can happen now? I give up then. What's the point of trying to make something good out of your life? What's the point of struggling and never getting anywhere? What's the point of being nice to people? She's been nothing but decent to everybody, and that happens to her. And one of the people that's involved is the vicar's daughter who wants you to be forgiven. I don't think so.
Yeah, I love how Nina. She's never cared what anyone else thinks about her, has she? And even though she's kind of changed
I'm not sure
a bit
that's
since,
really true.
Well, this is the front that she's put on, and now
I think
that
there's a difference
Seb's dead,
between-
she's still the same way as she thinks.
There's a difference between not caring what people think of you, and there's a difference between not listening to empty criticism, which is what she rightfully has done.
So there we go. You gave it 3.5 as well, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3.5s, and Dev and Nina. Congratulations,
Nina.
you two.